Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. It's great to have each and every one of you here. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. More responses. Abimbola says I can hear you. Fantastic. That's great. Okay, so my name is Joan Diabwa and I'm a data associate at Tenalytics. It's fantastic to have each and every one of you join us for today's masterclass. And I hope we're all excited to be here. So if you are excited, you're ready for today's session, you can drop in the chat box your favorite emoji. Let's get to know how excited you are. Funsho is super excited. Great. That's fantastic. I need more responses, okay? So we get to know how pumped we are for today's session because we've got lots installed for you and it promises to be fantastic, okay? So on the call today is our very own founder in the person of Adeza Suleiman, as well as a senior data associate at our company, Mohammed Suleiman, and they will be taking you through today's session on how to start your data analyst journey, okay? So being a data analyst is an interesting field, something that you're certainly going to enjoy, and you've definitely made the right choice, okay? So I'll be calling up Mohammed, and he would be taking us through the first half of the session to sit back, relax, enjoy, okay? Mohammed, it's great to have you here. Welcome on board.
Okay, thank you very much, John. You're looking good.
Thank you very much.
Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right, fantastic. So welcome along, everyone. All right, my name is Mohammed Suleiman, just like John has mentioned. I'm a senior data associate here at Tenalytics, and today we'll be walking you through how to get started in tech. Okay, so a lot of us are still having our responses in the chat saying we're excited. I want to say I'm more excited than you guys on the call. Okay, permit me to say so. All right, now I'll share my screen and then we'll kickstart the process. Okay, just a moment. All right, so confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, Mohammed, we can see your screen.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so welcome along again to Tenalytics. All right, so here at Tenalytics, what we do is, okay, sorry, just a moment. Just a moment, guys. Yeah, so welcome once again to Tenalytics. Okay, so here at Tenalytics, we are geared towards the Black community and Africans at large. All right, so we aim at lowering the entry bar into tech for Africans and the Black community. Okay, we offer programs ranging from data analytics to business analysis to data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, as well as Power Platform. All right. Now we have top-notch professionals cutting across several conglomerates across the world, including Apple, Microsoft, McKinsey and Company, PwC, Deloitte, Sahara Groups, P&G, and the likes. Okay. And we have wonderful founders with close to 2 decades combined, okay, in the person of Adeza Suleiman, who will be seen later on this call. Okay, he's a data analytics expert with close to a decade of experience. Okay, now you can see Efemena as well, with also close to a decade of experience currently in the UK, Adeza as well, is based in the UK. Okay, Femina works at Teleflex in Ireland. All right, and these guys are super, super amazing. We have successfully helped over 500 people transition from the classroom to their first tech jobs. Okay, we've successfully helped over 500 people. Okay, this is what you stand to gain here at Tenalytics. All right, our good work has also been featured, across several medias. Okay, you can see here at Business Day featured our good work, okay, of helping Africans land their first job in tech by simply lowering the entry bar. And we also have some spices which makes us stand out in this market. Okay, you see Nairametrics also featured our good work where we held a data analytics hackathon late last year where 1 million naira was up for grabs. And we had 5 winners in that very hackathon. Okay. Now, you can see other media houses also picking up our good work. You can see PR Fire also, okay, reiterating our commitment towards helping Africans get into these tech roles across Europe and several other continents across the world. We are also very passionate about our female folks, okay, by helping them, by giving them scholarships like we did sometime this year, where we offered over 300 women scholarships to be able to upskill themselves to get in these tech jobs, okay? And you can see here Tech Cabal. Tech Cabal also spoke about our wonderful work, okay, sponsoring over 300 women to get into tech. We also held a data hackathon this year, okay, early this year, where we had 4 winners. And you can see the amazing judges and the quality of the judges we had at this session. You can see Michelle, currently in Lloyds Bank. Okay, Sadiq Akintola works in Google, okay, as a smart and analytics expert. You can see Sebastian Obeta, an AI expert based in the UK, okay, and Olamide, the data analytics lead at Wema Bank. Our participants work for many of the conglomerates you can mention, ranging from NHS to GT Bank to MRS, Nestle, P&G, Nine Mobile. Okay, and we'll be engaging in a very exciting activity today, where you see Adeza walk us through a case study, a practical case study, real life case study in Power BI. And we'll be moving towards the reason why we are here, which is how you can get started in tech. Okay. After, we would mention about the July cohort that's coming up, what you need to know about that, as well as what is in store for you as far as Tenalytics growth internship is concerned. Okay, so at this point, I'll be inviting Adeza Suleiman. Okay, Adeza Suleiman, if you can hear me.
Adeza Suleiman is here. All right, thank you very much. Fantastic introduction, Mohammed and Joan. Thank you very much for that. All right, good evening, everybody. It's evening my time over here. And for everybody that has joined today, we stand to learn something amazing, okay? For us at Tenalytics, value is always the watchword for us, all right? So all I need from you is your rapt attention, and by the end of today's session, you would have learned a whole lot, especially on how to get started in tech as a data analyst, because that's the reason why we are here, okay? But first of all, what is the job of a data analyst? What does a data analyst do? Okay, and I'll be showcasing that using, we'd get data from the web, okay? We'd work together, I'll show you how to get the data. We're going to use Power BI to build something. something very amazing. And once we are done with that, we'll move into how to get started. Okay, so you learn how to do something using Power BI today. And by the end of today's session, every single thing we do, we're going to do in this class, you will be able to do the same. All right. And once we are done with that, I'd love to have, interactions with some of you that would have questions on how you can get started. Because most of the time, the reason why people find it difficult to start, the reason why people find it difficult to transition, to get a job, is because they don't have the right information. They don't know the right type of strategy and how to position themselves. And that's the reason why we exist. And like Mohammed mentioned, for the past 3 years, we've helped so many people make that switch from knowing nothing related to tech to helping them make that transition eventually. And over 500 people have been able to make the switch from the classroom to getting a job in tech. And I'll show you, share some of their testimonials, share some of their experiences as well, and how they were able to do it so that you can also take the same step. Okay, so let's get started with our session for today. I'll be sharing my slides and then we'll dive into the main meat of our case study today. Okay, Upper is asking, will the recorded video be available to those that stay till the end of the session, all right? So we'll have about 2.5 hours, about 1 hour for the practical bits, another 1 hour to show you the different steps you have to take to make that switch. And then we'll have Q&A for another 30 minutes. So 2.5 hours, and we should be able to cover all the things we need to cover for today, all right? So let's get started. So what I've also done is to keep the chat room active. Everybody is muted to avoid interactions. When we have Q&A, you have the opportunity to unmute yourselves and engage with the questions you might have along the line. Okay, now let's work on the case study for today. I just want to be sure, Mohammed, you can see my slide.
Yes.
All right, brilliant. Now, we'll simulate a scenario whereby you have just been employed as a data analyst with Deloitte, one of the big fours here in the UK, and the UNESCO is one of your clients. Okay, so you are doing work for UNESCO and you want to help them investigate the different you want to help them investigate the key factors that could impact students' performance, okay? Some personal, social, economic factors that could affect students' performance. The data is available on the web. I'll show you how to get the data. We'll look at it together, do our analysis, and by the time we are done, we'll be building this dashboard, okay? Step by step, from the beginning till the very end. We're going to build this very straightforward, and I'll show you how to do this so that by the end of today's session, you get the recording at your own convenience. You can go back and build your own dashboard. Now, some of the key considerations we'll be looking at, and you see this when we get into the data itself. We'll try to see and answer questions around, does a student's race or ethnicity affect their score? Right? So if a student is African, Caucasian, Asian, Middle Eastern or Arab and so on and so forth, does it affect their score? Okay, we'll also look at the difference between students who prepared for exams and students who did not prepare. Okay, obviously we would imagine that it would affect the overall performance of the students at the end of the day. And we'll also try to answer the question around the quality of lunch. Now, this seems very absurd, okay? It seems very absurd. The type of lunch the students get, they get quality lunch, would it affect their performance? If the quality of the lunch they get is not very, the quality is not very good, does it also affect their performance? We'll also try to see how that plays out. And if I have enough time, I'll show you something even more amazing, which is without even creating a dashboard, how can you tell right at the beginning the key factors to consider that has the most impact on students' performance? Okay. And for us to carry out this activity, you must have Microsoft Power BI installed on your computer. Okay. If you have Power BI installed, you are good to go. We work together and we can get this done. However, if you don't, it's not a problem. Don't stress yourself. I've already, indicated in my slides how to download and install Power BI so that you can focus and see what I'll be showing. Take note of your questions, and at the end of the session, you can ask questions. And when you're trying to build yours afterwards, it's a lot easier for you because you concentrated, you saw what we did, and you can also replicate the same. Downloading and installing Power BI is very straightforward. 5 steps, and I have them on the slides for you already. Those slides will be sent to you, to your WhatsApp groups, to your emails, as long as you received any of that to get into this class. So step 1, you're going to go to your browser, you search for Power BI. Step 2, you click on advanced download options. Step 3, you click on download. Step 4, you select the specific version you want to download. And step 5, you install. Okay, so you have all of that on the slide. Don't bother yourself with installing it now, because that will disrupt your internet, it will disrupt so many other things, and you would not concentrate. Okay, so once you've installed Power BI, for those that have Power BI already on their computers, that's fine. You can work with that. But if you don't, you have the steps to download Power BI and install. So you can always work with that when you receive the slides at the end of today's session. All right. Now let's get into where the data is. Okay. To also make things easy for you, I've kept a link on my slide. All right. So if you see this link, there is a link over here to download the data itself. So once you receive the slide, all you have to do is click on that, click on download the data, and then you download the data into your computer. But I'll show you how to get the data itself, because I know people always ask the question, oh, I want to practice. I don't know where to get data from. How do I, get the data to practice and do so many other complete projects and get my hands busy? Kaggle.com/datasets. That's one of the most fantastic, areas you can get data sets from. And I'll drop the link in the chat as well, but I'm just going to type it in, kaggle.com/datasets. Okay. Now, for you to get data from Kaggle, you must have an account, which means you register and then you have access to downloading data from Kaggle. However, you don't really have to, you don't have to do that now. Like I said, you can do it after the session, but I'm just going to drop the link into the chat for the benefit of those who would love to pick it from there. Okay, kaggle.com/datasets. For you to download any data, you must have registered, you have an account, enter your username and password. You don't have to pay, it's free. So this is where, if I go to that website, it brings me here, and all I need to do is just to type student performance. So I'm searching now, student performance. Okay, student performance data sets, student performance prediction, and so on and so forth. Okay, I think this is the third one is the one we use. I think they're pretty much the same, really. But I'll right click on the third one, put in a new tab, and let's see what the data looks like. Okay, let's see what the data looks like. Absolutely. So now, if you look at the data description, which can also be referred to as the data dictionary. Here you have gender, which indicates male or female. You have the race or ethnicity, that's the student's racial background. Like we mentioned, although in the data set itself, it has been codified, all right? Meaning that you can't tell if it's African or Asian or Hispanic or whatever the case might be. You have group A, group B, group C. Because when you work with data, you have to be careful about certain things. You have to consider legal issues, ethical issues, professional issues, data privacy, so on and so forth. You also have to, take note of bias as well when you do your analysis. So that's why you'd see the fact that, all these different ethnicities have been codified rather than explicitly indicating them, okay? You also have the parental level of education. So if the parent of the student has a master's degree or has a PhD, does that affect the performance of the student? Okay, would also check that as well. Somebody said I should zoom in. I think I've done that now. I think it's better. Okay. Okay, that's Peter. I say you should zoom in, but I think I just zoomed in a bit, so it's legible at the moment. So parental level of education, then lunch. For lunch, you have instances where the student has very quality lunch and lunch might not be so quality. Okay, so the food you give your wards or your children to school, does it impact their performance? Would also see that as well. Test preparation, did they prepare or not? Would also check that. Their math score, reading score, and writing score. Okay, so we've considered math, reading, and writing. Okay, so we're going to look at that as well. Please, if you have your video on, I can see somebody's video is on. Tende, if you could turn off your video so that we don't have too many people with their videos on, and that could be distracting. Mohammed, if you could turn off your video as well, just so that everybody can concentrate on only me for now. And then when anybody is speaking, you can then turn on your video. All right, brilliant. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Now let's download the data. Okay, so all I need to do is at the top right corner, I'll click on download, and that downloads the data for me into my computer, right? It downloads it as a zipped folder. So we have to extract the content of the zipped folder, and then we have access to the data itself. So I'll simply just click on the file that got downloaded or the folder. I'll go to show in folder to show my downloads and where I have the data itself. So let me drag that to the screen I'm currently sharing so everybody can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So here we have the zip folder we just downloaded, right? You can see the archive 31. So all I need to do is right click on that folder, okay? And I'll click on extract all. I want to get the content out of that folder because it's zipped, it's a compressed folder. So extract, and then I click on extract. Okay, I click on extract, and then it extracts the zipped folder into a normal folder. So I don't want to see a folder with a zip. I want to see a normal folder, right? Which I can see right here, archive 31. Okay, so I've been able to extract the zipped folder, and it has given me a normal folder. If I double click on that normal folder, I can see the data set itself. If I double click on it, let's double click and see what it looks like, and then we'll move into Power BI and get to work. Okay, we'll move into Power BI and get to work. So here we can see we have, let me maximize this a bit. We have the gender, we have the ethnicity, we have the parental level of education. So some parents have a college degree, associate degree, a master's degree, bachelor's degree, and so on and so forth. We want to check to see if the level of education of the parents affects the student's performance. Okay, lunch, is it a standard lunch? Is it free or reduced lunch? So you have two categories in here, all right? Standard, free or reduced. Does it impact the performance of the student eventually? You have the test preparation course. Did they prepare by writing the test? So the students prepare by writing test. If they prepared, you write completed. If not, you have none. So for a student who, sometimes back in high school, if you have an exam, you write series of tests and assessments in preparation for the exam itself. So we want to see if these tests written over time? Does it impact the performance of students? And then you have the math score, reading score, writing score. Okay, so this is what the data looks like. It's pretty straightforward, nothing out of place, nothing too out of the ordinary. So I'm just going to close this. Do I want to save? Don't save. I don't want to save anything here. So that's the data exams. That's the name of the file. Let me expand it a bit. That's the name of the file. It is a CSV file, comma separated values. All right. So if you look at, if I hover my mouse on it, or if I go back to what it was initially, okay, you would see that. Okay, just give me 1 second. I need to show you something very important. Now, if you look at what I have in here on that type, it says CSV, Microsoft Excel, comma separated values file. Okay, Mariam, you're scribbling something on my screen. Please don't do that. Okay, please don't do that. All right. So it's a Microsoft Excel, comma separated values file. So it's a CSV file. Now, why is this important? It's important because we need to know the file type when bringing in the data into Power BI. All right. So now that we've seen that it's a CSV file, CSV simply stands for comma separated values. Comma separated values. No problem about that, Miriam. Comma separated values. Okay. So it's a CSV file. Now, I'll launch my Power BI and then we get started. Like I mentioned earlier, for the benefit of those just joining, you don't need to have Power BI installed at the moment, okay? The steps to getting Power BI installed, you have it on the slides and I'll share them. I'll share the slides with you at the end of today's session. It's a very straightforward process, very simple. You install, and you don't need any background knowledge. You don't need any experience. You don't need to have done this before. You don't need to have done Excel. You don't need to have done anything analytics. So if you studied languages, you studied Yoruba in the university, you studied philosophy, you studied psychology, you studied medicine, it really doesn't matter. Everybody here today, 137 of you, would be able to do the same thing I'll be showing you at the end of today's session. I studied industrial chemistry. For those who would love to know what I studied industrial chemistry. I've done analytics for close to a decade of my professional career. And I would say that's the best thing that ever happened to me as an individual, right? And I'll be sharing some of my own knowledge and experiences with you as we go along our session today, okay? Now, let's launch Power BI. So once you follow all the steps on my slide, and then you install your Power BI, all you have to do is go to your search, all right? Go to your search bar on your computer and simply just type in Power BI. At the moment you type Power BI, you'd see the Power BI application, Power BI desktop. I'll just click on it. And the moment I click on it, it would launch Microsoft Power BI for me, all right? So I'll wait for it to come up. I'll wait for it to launch. And then you'll see step by step how we get things done, okay? You'd see how we get things done. So you don't have to follow me to do the same, like I mentioned, so you don't lose track of what I'll be showing you. All right, so this is what Power BI looks like when it launches. It could appear very unassuming. You really don't know what to do at the very first minute. But then I don't need this first page. I'm not going to do anything here for now. I'll simply just close. So I'll close this, click on the X to close. And then the first thing we need to do is get our data into Power BI, all right? Get our data into Power BI. That data that we downloaded that has the student performance, I want to bring it into Power BI so that I can showcase to the client who is UNESCO. I'm working for Deloitte as a consultant, and I want to show as a data analytics consultant for Deloitte. And we are working on a project for UNESCO, analyzing socioeconomic factors, personal factors that could impact students' performance, okay? I'm going to do a presentation. But for me to do that presentation, I need to do the analysis to see what really impacts the performance of students. And then I go into the presentation when I'm done, to share my findings. Okay, and what we are doing now is to get our data into Power BI. We do the analysis, and you see how simple it can be, and what a data analyst will do on a day-to-day basis, part of the activities of a data analyst. So people would ask me the question, oh, what does a data analyst do? Do you just go to work and just keep on crunching data? What's the role like? Your role is simply to help the business solve problems, help the business answer key questions. So there are key questions we need to answer today. For example, race and ethnicity, does it affect performance? Yes or no? Right? Is there a difference between people that prepared by writing tests and people that did not write the test? Does it impact performance as well? We want to check. The quality of lunch the students get, for those that get the standard lunch and for those that got the reduced or the free lunch, does it affect performance? We want to do this analysis and share our findings, all right? Now, if you look at the top left corner of your Power BI, for those who can see my screen, it says get data, get data. And what do you think this icon that says get data, what do you think it does? I want you to send it into the chat. That button that says get data, what do you think it does? If I click on it, what do you think could happen? Or what do you think it could lead to? Just type it into the chat. Let me get to hear from you. The get data option, if I click on it, what do you think it does? Moshood says import data. Olaya says upload database file. Prince says it gets data we've downloaded from Kaggle. Absolutely. Connects data to the system. Bello, fantastic. Blessing is saying it allows you to import data from different sources. Absolutely, absolutely fantastic. Import data from an external source. Alim, thank you very much for that. So you guys are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Fantastic, brilliant minds. You're all correct. And that's simply the beauty of Power BI. Power BI is intuitive, okay? Sometimes without even, knowing something. By looking at it, you can tell what that particular option does. So I'll go to my get data, the drop down beside it, I'll click on it. And what I want to select is text/CSV. Remember, the data I want to get, because you have different data sources. My data could be an Excel file. It could be a Power BI data set. Some of you said external sources. So I could have data on the web, on the websites. I could have data in a database. Some of you mentioned that. I could have data in a PDF file. I could have data in different sources. But how do I get that data into Power BI? I need to select my data source. So once I click on the drop down, you have common data sources, the different data sources you can select. My data is a CSV file. Remember, we mentioned comma separated values. So all I need to do is click on text/CSV. So I'll click on that. And the moment I click on that, I click on downloads, and I need to access the folder that contains my data, right? And that's archive 31. If you remember, we downloaded the zip folder, extracted, and then we have our normal folder. So if I double click on archive 31, I can see the file I need to connect to, exams. That's my data, exams, correct? So I click on it once, and then I click on what? Open, to bring the data into my Power BI. So the moment I click on open, what happens is Power BI would go to my downloads into that folder that contains the data and start to do what? Extract my data from that data source, okay? And before it does that, it would show me the preview of what the data looks like. So we have gender. If you can see what I have on my screen, let me expand this a bit. Okay, so this is a preview of my data: gender, race, parental level of education, lunch, test preparation, math, reading, and writing score. Okay, so this is a preview of my data. It looks good, looks like something that I can work with. That's what my data looks like. But then before I do anything else from here. There is a concept called ETL in Power BI, not just in Power BI, it's a concept usually for manipulating data, how you move data from one source into another source in a format that is usable for analysis. All right, and that concept is called ETL. ETL, I just dropped that into the chat, ETL. And ETL simply means extract, transform, and load. I just also dropped it into the chat. Extract, transform, and load. When you're working with Power BI, you want to follow that concept of ETL. You first of all extract your data, you transform the data, and then you load the data. Okay. Now, when we connected to that folder to extract our data, you saw the data, that's the preview it's showing us. Okay. Now, transformation is simply where we need to make one or two changes to the data itself. It's like you wanting to cook rice, cook jollof rice. For those who are Nigerians, you understand what jollof rice is, or spicy rice. Okay. You don't just put the rice into, you don't get rice, just put it into the pot and then the jollof rice is done or your spicy rice is done. No, it doesn't happen that way. You get the rice. What do you do with the rice? You wash the rice, you clean it up, ensure the rice is clean. You wash it with some water. You then do what? You get your pot, put the pot on fire, put the rice into the fire. You put your different spices, different sauces, and that gives you the final outcome. Okay, but here, what we want to do is that process of cleaning. We're not just going to take the rice and just put it into the pot and start cooking. No, we'll take the rice and then we clean the rice with some water to be sure that the rice is ready to be cooked. Okay, Peter said I sound like a great cook. I used to cook a lot, but now I don't have time to do a lot of cooking anymore, but I used to. Okay, so you want to get your rice, you want to clean it up, ensure the rice is good, is ready to go into the pot for cooking. And that's the transformation process. When you get data, you want to clean the data, you want to transform the data, you want to reshape, and so on and so forth. Okay, so following the process of ETL, extract, transform, and load, which of the three buttons at the down right corner do you think I need to click at this point? Do I click on load? Do I click on transform? Or do I click on cancel? Transform, Abimbola. Peter also says transform. Prince says the middle button, absolutely, absolutely fantastic. Because we're extracting, the next step is to what? Transform before we load. So brilliant. So I'm going to go to transform. I'll click on transform data. And the moment I click on transform data, what happens? It takes me into the environment where I would have to do what? Transform my data. Okay, so let me move that to the screen so you can see what I'm doing, right? So this is the environment where you do what? Clean up your data. Prepare your data for analysis. You prepare your rice for cooking. Okay, so I'm going to prepare the rice for cooking at the moment. We're not going to change too many things because the data itself is pretty good. All right, we don't need to make too many changes. We don't need to change too many things with the data that we have. We don't have any empty records. No empty records. All the data we have are valid across all the different columns. All right. And for the benefit or for the constraint of time, we're not going to do too much. All right. Because of time, we won't do too much. Okay. But what we can clearly see is we have math, our math score, reading score, writing score. I want to put it in a shape that will make it easy for me. Okay, and when you're working with Power BI, I want everybody to have this same idea of working with columns. When you work with Power BI, you work with columns. Each column should have a particular attribute. For example, the very first colon I have here is gender. It has nothing other than gender. So if I need anything related to gender, I know I go to my gender colon. Next colon is race, ethnicity. If I need anything related to ethnicity, I go to that colon. But then if you look at your math score, reading score, writing score, these are all subjects and their scores, but they've been separated. It would be nicer if you work in a format whereby all the subjects are in a single colon and all the scores are in another colon. All right, so if I need anything related to subjects, I go to subject, I can tell if it is math, if it is reading, if it is writing, I have it in a single colon, just like the way I have gender, male and female. The same way I have ethnicity, the different ethnicities. I want to have a subject colon, so all my subjects, math, writing, reading, will be on a single colon, okay? So that's what I want to do. And when I do that, I want to have the respective scores. So math, I'll have the score. Writing, I'll have the score. Reading, I'll have the score beside it. So each attribute would be on its own separate colon. That's the next thing we want to achieve. So how do we achieve that? This is part of the cleaning process, remember. We're not just going to put the rice into the pot and start cooking. We'll prepare the rice first of all before we cook. So what I'll do is I'll click on my math colon, click on that colon. I'll hold down the control key on my keyboard because I want to select the other colons, reading and writing. So I'll hold down control so that when I click on reading and writing, it selects everything for me. So click on math, hold down the control key on your keyboard, click on reading, still holding down the control key, you click on writing. So what happens? It selects the 3 colons for you. The process of transforming it into all the subjects in a single colon is called unpivoting. Unpivoting. Okay, I'm going to type that into the chat as well. For all of these things, don't bother yourself too much about memorizing them. On pivoting colons. Okay, by the time you're practicing, all right, by the time you're practicing, everything would come up well for you, especially with regards to all the explanations I've been giving so far. All right, so what do I need to do? All I need to do after selecting the 3 colons is to go to the top left corner, click on transform, and under transform, you would see this very little button called unpivoting colons, unpivot colons, just like I typed into the chat. I'll click on the drop down beside unpivot colons, and I want to unpivot only the selected colons, not all the colons. So I've selected the math score, the reading score. I want to do what? Unpivot only the selected colons. Okay, so I'll click on that. And the moment I click on pivot only selected, what happens? It breaks those 3 colons into just 2. One would contain all the subjects. You can see math score, reading score, writing score, math score, reading score, writing score. You have all the subjects in a single colon called attributes, and then you have the scores in another colon called value. This is the best way to work with Power BI if you want to make life easy for yourself. You can also work with the data having math score in a single colon, writing in another colon, reading in a third colon. However, you'd find it challenging bringing things together when you start to write your calculations and so on and so forth. Okay, so this makes things a bit easy for me, or easier for me. So the next thing I'll do very quickly is to change the headers, because attributes seems confusing. What does attributes mean? So I want to change it to have the label subject, all right? So I can do that by right-clicking on that attribute. I'll go to rename and click on rename, and I'll simply just type in subject. Hit enter, right? And under value, I want to rename it to scores. So the same way you can double click on it to change, or right click on it, click on rename, Now change this to what? Scores, and hit enter. So it's easy for me to see clearly math, the score, reading, the score, writing, and so on and so forth. This is called pivoting, okay? And this makes it easier for us to work. And you see that when we load our data and then we start. When we load our data and then we start, okay? Now, you see me not going to details with something simply because I don't want us to take too much time on the practical bits. Now, something that would have been good for us to do very quickly as well is to remove these scores that we have. So instead of having math score, reading score, we have just math, reading, writing. We take out scores, okay? Or maybe we can quickly do that. Okay, so let's quickly do that and remove the score instead of having score inside here. So I'm just going to click on this column called subject. I'll go to my transform, ensure I click on transform again, and I'll split the column. So split the column, right? So that math would be separate, score would be separate, and I can delete the column that has score because they're together at the moment, and I don't want that, okay? So once I've clicked on my subject column, right, I'll go to split column, click on split column, and I'll click on the very first option that says split by delimiter. Split by what? Delimiter. My delimiter is a space. So by default, without changing anything, your default is space, so that when I have math, space, and score, that space break the two different words into two for me. So math should stay separate, score should stay separate. Reading should be separate from score. That's what I want to do at the moment. So without changing anything, I just click on OK, and it's going to break that column into two for me. And you can see that I have subject 1, I have math, reading, writing, math, reading, writing, and subject 2, I have score. So I've separated them, and I can now delete this other column because I don't need it really. So I'll delete it by right-clicking on subject 2 and click on remove. Okay, so now I have my subject. I'll change it from subject 1. I don't need the 1 there, so I'll take out 1, and it's just subject. So I've removed, instead of having math score, reading score, writing score, I have just math, reading, and writing. That makes a lot more sense to me. Okay, there are so many other transformations we can do. We're not going to dive into that because of time. Like I said, we want to complete this within the next 1 hour. So we have about 30 more minutes to wrap up this practical bits. Okay, so now it's time for us to load our data into Power BI. All right, so we are done cleaning the rice. We've cleaned the rice with water. We've drained the water. It's time for us to put it into the pot and start cooking. So at the top left corner, I'll click on the home tab. Click on the home tab at the top left corner, and where I have close and apply, that is where you load your data from this environment into Power BI. Okay, this environment where we've done the cleaning, the transformation, is called the Power Query Editor. The Power Query Editor is a tool that exists inside Power BI. All right, so as you bring your data extract, you transform, it takes you into the Power Query Editor, you do your transformation, do your cleaning, do all of that. You then load it back into Power BI, all right? So to load it back, click on the drop down under close and apply, and then click on close and apply. At the moment you click on close and apply, what happens? It would close that Power Query where you did all the cleaning, and then load your data into Power BI. All right, so you see it loading. You see it loading. Let's wait for it to complete. Once it's completed, we'll start with the cooking. The cooking is simply where we are writing our calculations. We are trying to show performance of the students based on different classifications of categories. All right, ethnicity, does it affect performance? The level of education of the parent, does it affect performance? The average, looking at the lunch, they had quality lunch or not? Does it affect performance and so on and so forth? Those are some of the things we'll be looking at. Okay. Beautiful. Now, the next step is for us to, we have an idea of what we want to build. And I showed you that on my slide. Let me just quickly go back to show you what we are building. All right. So it's been built, but to build something like this on your own, which means to come up with the framework, is like you building a house. If you're building a house, what do? You first of all, an architect would come up with a design of how the house would look like. And then they do the foundation. The builders would look at that design, right? The builders will look at the design, the architectural design of the building, and then they'll start by building the foundation, and then they erect the building, correct? Now, the process of coming up with the architectural framework or the architectural design, it's a process it's a full class process. We're not going to do it here in class today, all right? But what we are building is what we have on the screen. You can see that. What do we have here? We have the average scores for the different subjects, the average math score, the average reading score, the average writing score, and the overall average score for all the students. And how many students? 1,000 students, the total number of students. So we have that at the top, because remember, we are presenting this to our client, who is UNESCO. We work with Deloitte. Deloitte has been engaged by UNESCO to help them do this analysis. And you, as the data analysts, you are responsible for carrying out this analysis. So one of the first things we'll do is build our framework, the architectural design, and come up with our foundation. All right. So you've seen what I've done. It looks good. You want to replicate the same. So just put yourself currently in my position. You are building your own. You've seen what I've done. You want to replicate the same thing. Okay. So which means that I'm going to create something now that would have 5 rectangles that would contain all the different average scores. And then I would have some other rectangles to have the level of parent education, performance by ethnicity, performance by level of preparation, looking at the different scores, different subjects, performance by preparation, looking at if they completed preparation or not. So I'm going to create all these rectangles before I start erecting any structure. All right. So you build your architectural framework, come up with what's the foundation, and then you build on top of it. So let's go back to Power BI. Let's build all these rectangles that we can see, the architectural design, and then we'll start to do the analysis to put all the right things in the right places. So let's go back very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my Power BI. Okay, go back to Power BI. And then we'll come up with our framework, but also remember that we have calculations we're going to carry out. We have some calculations we're going to do. Because for us to find the average scores of the students, we would need to impute some calculations. Okay, and I'll show you how to do all of that. I'll show you how to do all of that because it's critical to you eventually building your own dashboard. So how do we start building? How do we start building? Let's build by first of all, or before we build, let's do the calculations, okay? Let's do all the averages we need to calculate. Once we've done our averages, the average math score, average reading score, average writing score, the total average for all the students, and then the total number of students, will then build our framework, okay? So let's first of all create our calculations. And the calculations we are creating in Power BI, they're not called calculations. Calculation is a very simple way of saying it. It's a very simple way of saying it, okay? They're called what? Measures. Measures. I just typed that into the charts. They're called what? Measures. So your measures are simply calculations, all right? And I'm going to create those calculations now. and you'd see how I'm doing it. Very straightforward, very straight to the point. They're called measures. Now I'll go to my data. You can see where I have exams at the top left corner. So when you load your data, you'd see it appear at the top right corner under data. You'd see that that's my data set, exams, that's the table. If I click on the drop down, you can see all the columns. I have my gender, launch, parental level of education, the race, ethnicity, the scores, the subject, and the test preparation level. Okay. Now I want to add some calculations like the average score for all the students, average math score, average reading score, average writing score, and also calculate the total number of students as well. So all I need to do, very simple, don't stress yourself. Go to your exams table where you have exams, right click on it, and you'd see new measure. Remember, your calculations are called measures, okay? So just click on new measure. And the moment you click on new measure, what happens? You'd see something that would appear at the top of your Power BI, like a formula bar. Let me maximize this a bit so you can see it better. And it says measure equal to. You can see that measure equal to. The first measure we want to create, let me use the word measure so that I don't get you stuck on calculation. The first measure we want to create is what? The overall average for all the students, okay? What's the average score for the different programs, different courses? I want to calculate the overall average. So I'll take out whatever I have here, this measure equal to, I'll delete it, and I'll write what? Overall average. Let's use abbreviations because of space. Overall average scores equal to. So you start by writing the name of the measure you want to create. The name of the measure is what? Overall average scores. Equal to what? The average of all the scores in your data set. So I'm simply just going to type equal what? Average. And the moment I type average, I'll see a drop down appear with what's average. I need average, right? I'm going to click on average. Average of what? Average of what? The exam scores. Average of exam scores. That's what I want to click on. So I click on it. And then I close my bracket. Okay. So overall average scores equal to what? The average of the exam scores. That's all. You hit enter on your keyboard and that creates your very first measure for you, your very first calculation. You're not going to see it appear when you hit enter. You would bring it to life by the time you are erecting your building. Okay, so we're creating our calculation, we are putting it somewhere. You create the calculation, put it somewhere. Create, put it. But when it's time to erect the building, to build, you start bringing them out and showcasing them. Okay, so we're going to build all the calculations we need. We first of all built the first one, the first measure, the overall average score. The next calculation is what? The total number of students. And for this one, I want you to tell me how to do it. But don't worry, I'll ask you the right questions when it's time. I want to calculate the overall number of students. How many students am I working with? How many students do I have? Okay, so I'll go back to the right-hand side of my data sets, exams, right? Click on it one more time. And I want to create a new measure. I click on new measure. Okay. Again, that drop-down comes up, measure equal to. This time around, I want to calculate total students. Total students equal to. For me to calculate the total students or know the number of students I have, I need to do what? Count. So total students equal to what? Count. I have two types of count. I have one count and I have a count A. Count A is the preferred option because count A would count both numbers and non-numbers. So if you have numbers or you have text or you have characters or special symbols, count A would count everything. but the count would only count numbers. Okay, so I'm going to click on count A. I want you to now tell me, for me to count the total number of students that I have, which of the columns do I select? Do I select gender, launch, parental level, race or ethnicity, scores, subject, test preparation? Which of the columns do you think I should select? I might have to go outside Power BI and click gender. Okay, the majority says gender. I agree with you. I'll follow what you tell me to do. I'll follow what you tell me to do. Count row also works with Dusonya. Absolutely. Count row works. We can use the count row, or we can simply count one of the columns. That'll give us the same results. Okay. You all say gender. I'll go with the majority. Okay. So I'll simply come here and I'll select count my gender colon. I'll click on gender. And just like with Dusonya also mentioned, you can also use the count rows. Count rows would count the total, all the rows you have in your data set. So if you have 1,000 rows, it counts it. If you have 5,000 rows, it counts it. That also works. But here we are counting the gender column. We are selecting specific columns that we are counting. I close the brackets and then I hit enter. So total students equals count A of the gender column. All right. That's my second measure. Okay, so I've calculated my overall average, calculated the total number of students. Next step is for me to calculate average math, average reading, and average writing score. Because I want to display, I want to know which of these subjects did the students perform the best when you look at the average of all the students within the school itself. Okay. Now, to do that, because if you go to the data, so if I go to the left-hand side and I click on the second option that says data view, it would show me my data in the shape of rows and columns. Okay. Now, remember that we created a column called subject, and that subject column contains the different subjects: math, reading, and writing. Okay. So I want to count, if I'm to count math, how many math do I have on that subject? 1, 2, 3. I might have to do a lot of counting, all right? So I'm going to use another calculation to say, go into this subject column and count all the math that you have in there. That's the next thing I'll be doing now, to calculate the average math score, the average math score. So I'll go back to my report page, click on my report page where we were initially, all right? I'll go back to my data set, right? Click on exams, click on new measure, click on what? New measure, because remember, we want to create another measure. This time around, the measure I want to create is what? My average math score. Average math score equal to calculate. I'm going to use calculate because I want to calculate the average of a specific subject under my subject column. All right, so I can't just say average of the math score, because under subject, you have so many subjects. You have math, you have reading, and you have writing. Okay, so I want to say calculate the average. So after typing calculate, I type what? Average. Average of what? Calculate the average score, average exam score. Okay. Calculate the average exam scores. Close the brackets. I put a comma. All right. Calculate the average exam scores of which of the subjects. I need to indicate and tell this particular expression what exactly I want to count, what exactly I want to average. I want to average the exam scores, but of which subject? Of which subject? So I come here again and I type what? Subject. Select my exam subject equal to math. So I put a quote, sorry. and I type math, and I close the quote. All right. Then I close the brackets. I would explain this before I hit enter. What do I have here? My average math score equal to calculate the average exam scores. So calculate the average scores, exam scores, when the exam subject equal to math. So don't calculate everything for me. Calculate it only when the exam subject equals what? Math. That's the expression. And this is what I'll use for the other subjects. The only thing that will change is math will change to reading and it will change to writing. And I will get the different average scores for the different subjects. Okay, so reading this expression using simple language, simple English is calculate the average math score equal to what? Calculate the average exam scores when the subject equal to what? Math. Simple. Hit enter. And that gives me my math score. So I've created the one for math. I'll do the one for writing, and I'll do for reading. And when we are done with that, we start building our dashboard. Okay, so let's go back and do the one for writing and reading. So I'll right-click on exams again and click on new measure to create another calculation. This time around, I want my average reading score. So average reading score, same step, same process, calculate what? The average exam scores. All right, calculate the average exam scores. I close my bracket, put a comma of what? The average exam scores when subjects, this time around, when exam subject equal to, open a quote, and I type in reading. When exam score equal to what? When exam subject equals to reading. The first one was math, this is reading. Close the bracket, hit enter. That's my average reading score. Okay, the next one would be to do what? Calculate my average writing score. This time around, I'm going to select, I'm just going to copy this, so I don't need to type it out again. I'll copy, select it and copy, Control C. I'll go to my data one more time, right click on it, click on new measure, because I want to create my final measure, the final calculation. My final calculation is the average writing score. Okay, so I'll type that there, average writing score equal to, I'll just paste what I had initially. Okay, but without even writing the average writing score, I should have just pasted. So I'll change reading to writing. So average writing score equal to calculate the average exam scores when the exam subject equal to what? Writing. I'll change it to writing. Okay, hit enter, and that's it. Created all my calculations. Okay, because what I want to showcase to the UNESCO is I want to show the different subjects and the students, the particular subject student performed the best. Was it in math? Was it in reading or writing? Show the overall average scores and also the total number of students. We are done with our calculation. It's now time for us to build our foundation, and then we start to erect the building, okay? The first thing I want to do is to design, okay? But even though you are analysts, you are technical, you must also be what? You must take note of aesthetics. Data visualization is an art and it is also a science. Data visualization is an art and it is also a science. So the artistic part of things is where you see that I have beautiful colors. I didn't just come up with funny looking colors. I have beautiful colors. I have some shapes that makes it look a little bit nice and stuff, presentable. You must take note of that as well, right? And that's the artistic part of you being a data analyst. When you are visualizing data, because all the calculations you are doing, nobody would see it. All they would see is what I'm showing you at the moment. Where you're talking about the numbers, this is the average score, this is the average score for writing, total number of students, this is what this is. Nobody sees your calculation, this is what they see. So you want to present it in a way that is easy for them to follow and it makes sense to them, right? And that's why data visualization is an art, all right? So let's go back. Okay, and let's start building. So the first thing I'll build is that banner at the top. And how do I insert the banner? On my Power BI, I click on Insert. I click on the Insert tab at the top of my Power BI. At the right-hand side, you'll see Shapes. Add a shape to your reports. Add a shape to your reports. I'll click on Add a shape. And I don't want to add any type of shape. I want to add rounded rectangles. I can see so many questions in the chat. I'll take all the questions, once we are done. I don't want to waste too much time answering so many questions now, and that, delays. I'll take a lot of the questions you have once I'm done with this. So I want to click on the rounded rectangle. And once I click on that, I'll see my rounded rectangle on the screen. And it's time for me to start expanding, changing the size, changing the shape, and so on to make it look good. Okay. So I'll collapse this filter pane to have space. All right. And then I'm just going to drag this up to the very top, and then I'll drag it to the right like that. And then I'll reduce the size like that. Okay, so let's leave it at this. But I don't want the color blue. I want to use a color that is more appealing. So artistic side of things, always remember. And if you don't learn anything from today's session, remember that Adeza said this. When we are visualizing, less is more. Less is more. I'm going to type that into the chat. Less is more. And what do I mean by that? It means a lot of things. However, in this context, you don't want to use red color, black, blue, green, orange, and have so many things all around the dashboard. No, you want less elements, less colors on your dashboard so that you can pass across your message effectively without distracting your audience. So if you look at what I've done on this dashboard, we've not used more than 3 colors. Ideally, you should have just about 2 colors, but at the maximum, 3 colors, max 3 colors. So less is more. If you can use 2 colors, fantastic, stick to 2. If you have to use more than 2, should it be more than 3 colors you use, okay? And I'll show you how to blend your colors, use the same scheme of colors so that things don't look out of place. So less is more, very, very important. Okay, so here, I want to change the color. So once I click on that, at the right-hand side, you can see format. I'll go to my shapes. So first of all, go to shapes, my rounded corners. I'll reduce it on 25%. So you see those corners at the end of the rectangle, I'll reduce it to maybe 20. Let's reduce it to 20. Then I want to change the color of that. Instead of blue, I'll go to style to change my color. Go to style where I have color. Instead of blue color, I'll change it to purple. Let's use this light purple color. So I'll click on that, change it to purple. Where I have border, I don't like that border, the blue border around it, the outline. I don't want the border around my shape. So I'll deselect border, and that takes it out, okay? So I'll change the color. If I click outside, you can see it's a nice looking lilac, light blue color, looking good. Now it's time to build, we're building the foundation, remember. It's time to build those boxes that would show my average scores. I want to build them now. The same way, under your Insert tab, you go to your shapes, click on that. I want to insert my rounded rectangle. Click on it again. You have another rounded rectangle. I would reshape. I don't want that long shape. I want something like this. Okay, I'm going to drag it up a little bit like that. Okay, drag it to the right-hand side a little because I'm going to add 5. Okay, I'm going to add 5 of these shapes. So I want the shape to be, long enough to accommodate all the spaces that I have. So we have something like this. Let's drag it up a bit like that. I think this looks good. Again, I'll change the color. I don't like this blue color. I'll change the color. Once you have clicked on the shape, you go to your format. For my rounded rectangle, I want to increase the angles on the side of the rectangle. So instead of 25%, I'll increase it to 30. or let's see 35%. Okay, so the more you increase, the more rounded the rectangle is. Okay, so that's for the rounded side. I'll go to my style to change the color. Instead of using the blue color, I'll use, let's use the dark colored purple. So remember, the first color I selected was the light purple, the lilac. So I want to use that same color scheme. I'm not going to go from purple to blue, or from blue to green, or from green to amber. No, I'll use the same scheme and I'll click on the darker purple. So I'll click on that. That changes the shape into a dark purple color. I'd also take out the border. I don't want the border, the blue line across along the sides of the rectangle. I'll take it out. And I want to add some popping features into it. I want a shadow. I'll click on shadow to turn it on. So once you click on shadow, you'd see that it looks a bit, it pops up a little bit more, all right? And then I'll add a glow. I'll click on that to add a glow as well. And once I click on glow to turn it on, you can see I have a blue glow. Blue in the mix of purple does not make sense, all right? So I'm going to change the color from blue to have the same color scheme of purple. So I'll click on glow, open it up. Instead of using the blue color, I'll change it to what? Purple. So we can use the light purple color that we used initially, which is this one. Okay, so that looks better. And that's the very first rectangle I'm creating. So I'll come back here, click outside, and this is what I have. Okay, let me drag this to the left a bit. And I want to create 5. So this is the first one. So rather than creating it again, doing all those things I've done over and over again, I'll just copy and paste. Why hassle? And why stress myself? So I'll simply just click on it, Control C, Control V. I have the second one, I drag it to the right, Control C, Control V. I have the third one, I drag it to the right, Control C, Control V. I have the fourth one, I drag it to the right. I hope I have enough space, Control C, Control V. I have the fifth one, I drag it to the right. Okay, so I really don't have enough space. So you can see the space between the last one and the others are not, aligned. So what I'll do is I'll click on all the shapes to select them. Click on the first one, hold down the Control key on my keyboard, click on the second, click on the third, the fourth, and the fifth to select everything. And then at the top of my tab where I have format, I'll click on format. Where I have align, I'll click on align, and then I'll align them horizontally. So once I click on align horizontally, the spaces in between becomes automatically the same. So you select everything, click on the first shape, hold down Control on your keyboard, click on all the other shapes, go to format, go to align, and then distribute horizontally. So distribute horizontally, everything would align on the same with equal amount of space in between. And that was what I've done. That was what I did initially. Okay, so now I have my 5 shapes at the top. Good, all looking good. The next thing I'll do is to add all the other 6 boxes. Let me show you the slide again, and you see that slowly we are building. All right, slowly we are what? Building. So you see those 5 shapes at the top. I've just built that. The next thing we are going to build is to build this, number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to build those boxes. I'm very straightforward. You see how I'll build them. 5, 6 boxes, we're going to build them now. And once we are done, we start adding the numbers, we start adding the different charts, and then we'll do a presentation. And you see how amazing. And the insights we are going to get from this. And if we have time, I hope we have enough more time, I'll show you something amazing with Power BI, all right? I'll show you something amazing. So let's go back to our Power BI. Let's build these 6 rectangles. So I don't want to start from fresh, start afresh again. So I'm just simply going to select one of my dark looking rectangles here, and I'll copy and paste to create the others. So copy, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'll drag it down like that. All right, I'll increase the size a little bit like this, increase it down a little bit like that. But then the angles are too rounded. Okay, I don't want the angles to be too rounded. So I'm going to reduce the roundness of the rectangle, and I'll change the color. I want a white colored background so that I don't have too many colors like I mentioned, okay? So while I clicked on that, I'll go back to my format. I'll go to shape, click on the drop down on that shape, and I'll reduce the roundness of the rectangle. Reduce it to something around, let's use 15, I think. Let me see 10. Yeah, 10 looks good. Let's make it 15. Yeah, I think 15 is not bad. All right, so we use 15, looks good. 15 looks good. I'll then do what? I would also change the color. So let's go to style to change the color from dark. I'll just change it to white. All right, I'll just change it to white. So you see, I have my rectangle looking good. Now I need to duplicate and create the others. So on that first line, I'll have 3. Below, I'll have another 3. So I'll just click on this very first one, Control C, Control V, copy and paste. I drag this to the right. I think I need to increase the size because I'll have too many, the space left will be too much. So let's increase the size of this one. To delete any shape you create, just click on it and press delete on your keyboard and it takes it out. Okay, so I'll increase this a little bit to the right. Let's see, this size looks good. So Control C, Control V, copy and paste, drag it to the right-hand side like that. Control C, Control V, drag it to the right. It's okay, so that's just going to reduce this. Okay, we need to reduce it a bit because, yeah, and this is where the problem is sometimes, but no worries at all when it comes to the size of what you are building, okay? It means we need to reduce the size a little bit, so feel free to iterate, make changes. Nothing is set in stone. So I'm just going to do it one more time, click on that, click on it to delete, reduce this size a bit so that I have space. Yes, this should do. Control C, Control V, copy and paste. I drag this to the right. Control C, Control V, copy and paste. I drag it to the right. So I have more space at the right-hand side. Again, I'm just going to move this to the very end, and then I'll distribute horizontally. Remember, we learned that a few seconds ago. So I'll click on one of the shapes, hold down the Control key on my keyboard, click on the second, click on the third to select everything, right? I'll go to the top of my dashboard, my Power BI, click on Format, okay? Go to Align, click on Align, and distribute horizontally. So that would fill up the spaces in between. The uneven spaces becomes equal. So I have my 3 shapes. Because I'm still selected on 3 of them, all right? I'll Control C to copy the 3 and Control V to paste. So I'll just copy and paste everything and drag it down a little bit like that. Okay, I'll drag it down like that. All right, so you can see we have enough spaces. So if you still want to increase the, that's the length, you want it to be longer, you can increase it. Okay, and maybe we should do that, increase it a little bit, or maybe we can leave it like this, it's fine. Okay, we can leave it like this. So I've created what? My foundation. And now it's time for me to erect my structures. So every single thing we are going to do here, we already have them in Power BI, the visuals, the calculations, we need all the measures, we've created them already, okay? So for me to bring those measures to life, first of all, the average math score, I want to showcase, I want to show it. I would use a visual. So I'm going to click on a blank space, click on a blank space on your dashboard, just click on a blank space on your report page, okay? And you would see visualizations, the visualizations pane. Under that, you would select the very first visual we would use to bring those numbers to life. It's called the card visual, card. So I'll click on the card visual. And once I click on the card visual, it would appear blank on my screen. You can see it appearing blank, right? Just fix it into the shape you have at the top. So I'll take it there, I'll resize to fit into those boxes I created, all right? And I'll start with one, and I can copy and paste after I've done all my formatting. So that's the very first visual. I fix it into that box, okay? Now, what do I want to add? I want to add the average math score. What do people score in math? What's the average score in math? So once I've clicked on that, at the right-hand side, I'll just simply click on the tick box. You see this average math score, the calculation, the measure we created. I'll click on it to select. And once I click on it to select, what happens is going to display the figure. Let's wait for it. It's coming up. 67.8. 67.8. My average math score. 67.8. So I'll do a couple of things to what I have here, right? First of all, I'm going to reduce the font size. I'm going to take out these white backgrounds because remember, we don't want to have something that would look very funny and not look good. So this white background on top of a dark purple background does not make sense. So I'm going to take out the white background so that my number can come up a lot more better. Okay, so while clicked on this, I'll simply go to my format, click on format your visual at the right-hand side, click on format your visual, okay? And then I'll go to general, click on general. Under general, you have effects, click on effects, and under effects, you have background, okay? The background is on. I'm going to turn it off by clicking on the slider. At the moment I click on the slider, what happens? The background disappears. That white background disappears. But because my font color was very dark gray, you can see that the color is not really showing on top of a dark colored background. So I need to change my font color to a lighter color. So from general, I'll click on visual, under call out value, click on the drop down under call out value, okay? First of all, I want to reduce the font size. 45 seems too large. Reduce it to about 40. Okay, I'll make it bold. I'll click on B to make it bold. And then I'll change the color from the dark colored font to what? White. And it becomes clearer. Okay, so I can see the average math score, 67.8. And you have the label at the bottom. But the label is also not clear simply because you have a dark colored font as well. So I'll go to my category label. Where you have category label, click on the drop down to expand and change the color from the dark gray to what? White. So now you can see the average math score. It gives you what? 67.8. Okay, so that's the average math score. We are going to create average reading score, average writing score using this same method. But because I've done it the first time, I don't need to do it all over again. I'm simply just going to do what? Click, copy, and paste. So click on it, copy, Control-C, Control-V. I'll paste it here, paste this here. All right. This time around, I want to insert my average reading score. Okay. So while clicked on this, the duplicate, I'll go to the very right-hand side and I can see that my average math score is still selected on the duplicate, but I don't want that. So I'll deselect it. And then I'll select what? Average reading score, 70.3. I'll copy and paste again, Control-C, Control-V, drag it to the right-hand side. Here, I want to change it from reading score to what? Writing. So on these duplicates, I'll go back to the right-hand side, select the reading score, select what? Writing. So my average writing score is what? 69.1. Okay, now what's the overall average? I'll copy, click on this, copy, Control-C, Control-V to paste, drag it to the right-hand side. And then I want to select the overall average, all right? So I'll deselect my average writing and I'll select overall average. Overall average is 69.1. Remember, we've also calculated the total number of students. So again, I'll copy Control C, Control V, drag it to the right-hand side. For my very last, KPI I have at the top, I'll take out overall average, and then I'll select what? Total students. And I have 3,000. Okay, so this is 3,000 actually. So it's a bit different from, we have 3,000 students. The average math score is 67.8. Average reading is 70.3. Average writing is 69.1. And the overall average is 69. So we can see that clearly. Now, the next couple of things we're going to do is we want to see the performance, the average scores of the performance based on the parent's education. So if the parent has master's degree, what's the average score of the student? If the parent has a bachelor's degree, what's the average score? If the parent has just high school degree, what's the average? So we can see clearly, do you have instances where masters, parents who have master's degree impact the eventual average score of the student? We want to see that performance, all right? And to show that, we'll use a different visual called clustered colon chart. So under your visualization, you see clustered colon. I'll click on that to give me the clustered colon chart, okay? And I would simply just fit it. Any visual you click on, remember, it comes out blank like this. So I'll just fit it into the box that I've created. Now we are building our house. Remember, we built the foundation. It's time to build the house, which are all these visuals we are displaying on the different boxes that we have. So I select my clustered colon, I put it into that box. And what do I want to show? I want to show the parent's level of education. I'll just simply go to my parental level of education at the right-hand side under my data, click on the tick box to select, and then I want to select the overall average scores to say, look at the different levels of education of the parents and show me the average score of the student based on that. So I'll click on what? Overall average score. And we can see what it looks like. We're going to do some formatting to make it look better. Okay, we'll do some formatting to make it look better. So while still clicked on the chart, I want to add data labels to the top. So show me the average scores at the top of the column, right? So to add anything to any visual you've created, to change the color, to remove something, to add something, you do it under where? Format your visual. So I go to format your visual, I click on that. First of all, I want to add my data label. So I'll turn it on to add the data label. So you can see 72, 72, 71, 70, 67, 65. All right, so we have numbers at the top, but then I have blue colored columns, which looks very funny when I have purple, light purple, dark purple. So I'm going to change the blue to light. Because I have my data labels on top, I'm going to remove my y-axis so I don't have this. Remember the first principle I shared with you, less is more. So anything that will distract people, take it out. Leave only what is necessary. Okay, so still under my format visual, my x-axis, I'm going to take out the title. So I'll click to expand. I'll take out the title. Okay, so I can see the different categories a little bit better. I'll reduce the font size to 8. I can see, so I have associate degree. I'm also going to take out the y-axis. So that's for my x-axis. I'll go to my y-axis, open it up as well. I'll take out my title, okay? And I'll turn off the y-axis completely. So I'll turn it off, right? So the y-axis is what? Gone. Y-axis is what? Gone. My title looks very funny and looks very big. Overall average scores by parental level of education. So I'm going to reduce it, okay? I'm going to reduce it and I'm going to call it something very simple. Performance I'm just going to call it performance by parental level of education. Okay. So again, I'll go back to my format your visual pane, click on general. Where you have title under general, click on title. And I'm just simply going to change the text that I have in there. So I'll delete anything that existed there before and I'll type performance by parental or performance by parental level of education. Okay. Performance by parental level of education. As I'm typing, you'd see it appear on the charts. It appears almost, real time. But I want to reduce the font size. 14 is too large. I'll reduce it to 10 or 12. But let's leave it at 11. Okay. Or let's see 10. 11 is fine, I think. So performance by parental level of education. Okay. So the title looks better. It's clearer for anybody who reads to understand. The last thing I'll do here is to change the color of the columns from blue to purple. So I'll go back to visual, click on visual, and where you have columns, open up the columns, change the color from the default to what? Light purple. So change the color from default to what? Light purple. All right, and that looks better instantly. Okay, so without doing anything, we can see clearly. And this is interesting, even though you don't have much differences between the different categories, we can see that the lowest average score is 65. And these are from parents who have some high school degree. Parents who have high school has a bit more improvement, 67. Parents who have some college degree has a bit more improvement from students whose parents have high school degree. So we can see almost immediately that the level of the parent's education could have an impact. It might not be significant, but it definitely has an impact on what? The student's performance eventually. All right, so that's the very first thing we've seen. Let's check to see other things that the data can tell us. Because if we ask data questions, it can give you answers to those questions. Let's see if the ethnicity affects performance. Because I've done a lot of formatting to this very first one, I don't want to do the same step by step again. So I'm just going to copy and paste. I'll click on this visual and then I'll copy, Control C, paste, Control V, drag it to the right-hand side. All right. So this is how you make things easy for yourself. You don't want to always create things from scratch. So I have these duplicates. I want to see the overall average scores based on ethnicity this time around, not parental level of education anymore. So I'm going to delete the parental level of education. I'll deselect it. Okay. And then I'll select what? I'll select ethnicity. All right. So when I selected ethnicity, what happened? It went to legend. So you need to also take note. It went to where? Legend. I don't want it to be on legend. I want it to be on the x-axis. So it comes up like what I have at the left-hand side. So what you can do is to simply drag this. You can drag it and drop it at the top on that x-axis. Okay, you can drag it from where it is and drop it there. Or you can simply drag it from where you have it under your data set exams, drag it and drop it on top of x-axis. And when you do that, what do you have? You can see Group E, Group D, Group A, Group C, and Group B. So looking at the different ethnicities, like I mentioned, it has been codified, so it doesn't represent a specific ethnic group. But the ethnic group, the different ethnicities have been grouped into A, B, C, D, and E. And we can see that there's a specific ethnic group, Group E, that has the best performance, 76. The average score is 76, followed by Group D, then Group A, Group C, and Group B. So you might want to find out, oh, this Group E, what category? For me, I think they're Africans, right? So Group E, 76 average score, fall into the Africans, the Black community. So definitely the level of what? Their ethnicity could also impact performance, all right? So what we are going to do is our title has to represent what we are showing. Because we duplicated, it carries the title from the very first one we duplicated. So I'm going to change the what? Title. Okay, so I'll go to format your visual, general, again, go to title, and here I'm going to change it to what? Performance by ethnicity. Performance by what? Ethnicity. Okay, and there you can see it almost immediately. So clearly we can see that the ethnicity or the different ethnic groups has an impact on performance. Okay, now one other thing I want to check is I want to check the level of preparation. The level of what? Preparation for the different subjects. Now, did a student prepare or not? If they prepared, what would their score look like? If they did not prepare, what would it look like? And I want to see that for all the different subjects. Okay, so I'm going to use a different type of chart, and I'm going to click on a blank space before I add a new chart. Just click on a blank space before you add a new chart so that you don't replace what you've created already. So click on a blank space, all right? But let's use the same one and just make some changes, all right? So I'll click on this, copy, Control-C, Control-V to copy and paste so that we don't do something from scratch again. We can save a lot of time. I drag this to the right. But what I want to do now is I don't want to use this same type of visual. I want to use a visual called the stacked column chart. So I click on the stacked column. Okay, I click on the what? The stacked column chart. All right, so my stacked column chart is still showing me race and ethnicity, but that's not what I want to see. I want to see the test preparation. If they wrote test to prepare, does it have an impact? So I take out race, ethnicity, and then I select test preparation. I drag it to my x-axis. So you can see if a student completed preparation, what happens? They had a higher score. So it means that students writing tests to prepare for the exam is very important because they would have a higher score, higher average score of 74. And those who had no preparation, they had 67. Okay. However, I want to break it down. So these columns, I want to break it down by what? By subject. So I'll take the subject and I'll drop it under where? Legend. So I'm going to drag subject and drop it under where? Legend. Okay. And when I do this, what happens? You can see that it breaks it into the different subjects: math, reading, and writing. So for math, for example, if you completed the preparation before the exam, what happens? You score an average of 70. If you did not prepare, you score 66. So preparation gives you higher marks if you prepare eventually. Looking at reading, 75 if you prepare. If you don't, 68. And writing, 76 if you prepare, the highest. And if you don't, 66. Okay, so this shows us something very important, looking at all the different courses, the different subjects, and looking at the average scores as well. So it's something we need to take note of. However, I want to change the colors because remember, colors impact your visuals. We don't want to use orange when we don't have orange. We don't want to use blue when we don't have blue. So let's use the same color scheme and maintain the same, scheme we've been using from scratch. So I'll go back to my format. Okay, I'll go to columns, click on the drop down, and I'll change the colors of the individual columns and the breakdown of those columns. So for math, I'll use the light purple. Okay, for reading, click on it, I'll use a darker purple. And then for writing, I'll use the darkest purple. All right, so I'm maintaining the same color scheme. And you can see it looks a lot better if you maintain the same color scheme rather than using red and red on purple, which makes it look very tacky. Okay, so here we have this. All right, So I'm just simply going to create additional visuals at the bottom, and then we are done with our visualization. And then we go to wrap up the presentation of how can you learn something like this? What does it take to get these skills, learn the skills, and then apply those skills in the real world? Okay. Now I want to use donut charts to show if you prepare and if you don't prepare, because we can see that clearly, but what we see here is the breakdown. But we want to show and emphasize. So the principle of emphasis, to emphasize that if you prepare, you do better. If you don't do well. You don't do as well as if you prepare. So I'll click on my donut chart. That gives me a blank donut, and I'm just simply going to do what? Resize it, resize. Okay, resize it to fit in those boxes. And what do I want to show? I want to show preparation and the average score. So I click on my test preparation, and then I click on my overall average score. Okay, so that shows me if you prepare, if you don't prepare. All right, change the blue color, we're going to change it, and then we can see clearly that if you complete your preparation, the lighter blue, what happens? You have a higher score of what? 73.6 or 74 scores, 74%. If you don't prepare, you score 66.74. Okay, but let's format it to look better, change the color and all of that. Okay, so I'll go back to my format. First of all, I want to take out the legend. I don't want the legend. Take it out so I have more space to showcase my visual, right? And then I'll go to my slices, click on the drop down, change the completed to the light purple, change none to a darker purple, similar color schemes that we've been using, so that whatever we are doing aligns, the colors look better and they look presentable, right? My detail labels, I want to change the label content. So instead of showing it the way it is, I want it to also show if they completed or if they did not complete. So under my label content, I'll show all detail labels. Show me everything, all right? I don't want to also have these long decimals, 73.62306. That's taking up space. So I'll click on values, go all the way down. Value for my decimal places, I'll just click in there and type in 0. Percentage decimal places, click in there and type in 0 as well, all right? And that's all I need to do. I'm also going to change my title, right? My title says overall scores by test preparation. So I just want to say performance by test preparation, that's all. So I click on that, I go to my format, go to general, and then under general, I go to title, and I just say performance. So I delete what I have in there, and I would say performance by tests preparation, capital P. Okay, reduce the font size to, I think we used 11. All right, performance by test preparation, and I think we are good to go. Okay, so this shows clearly if you don't prepare, none, you have an average score of 67. And 48% of the students fall into that category. If you completed your preparation, you have an average score of 74. And 52% of the students fall into that category. Now, I also want to see the lunch, and this is the most interesting part, and you see the reason. If a student has a standard lunch, which means quality lunch, toast, maybe toast and some smoothie to school, and you have some other maybe cakes and other desserts for the student, does it impact their performance? Or for students who takes maybe granuts and some other very flimsy lunch in their lunch box to school, would that affect the performance of the student? So let's see. So I'm going to click on this, copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and I'll drag it to the right-hand side. And what do I want to show here? I want to show performance by lunch, the type of lunch the student gets. Does that affect anything eventually? So let's check. So this is a duplicate of what? The test preparation. So I'll deselect test preparation from here, and then I'll select what? Lunch. Okay, so it has changed to blue. I'm going to change the color again. So I'll go to slices, change the color to light purple, change the other one to dark purple. And let's look at this carefully. And you see something interesting. And what do you see? For a student that gets a free or reduced lunch, what happens? They have an average score of 63. For a student who gets a standard lunch, you get toast, you get smoothie, you get cakes, you get, different sweets to school, you're happy, anticipating lunchtime, they score 72. So there's a significant difference between students who have a standard lunch and students who don't have the standard lunch. So you are recommending to UNESCO, you recommend things around, can we implement school supplement feeding program where we make available to students who might come from backgrounds that are not very, that have financial constraints, providing them with, free lunch? Would that help improve the performance of students? So when you're coming up with policies in schools and things like that, analysis can drive those policies. So let's change the titles very quickly to what? Performance by quality of lunch. So I'll click on general, I'll go to title. I'll go to title and I'll change it to performance by what? Quality of lunch. Quality of lunch. And the very last chart we're going to create is the one that would show us performance by gender. So do we have the male performing better than the female? Do we have the female performing better than the male? That's the very last visual we're going to create. Okay. So I'll copy this, Control C, Control V to copy and paste, drag that to the right-hand side. And then I'll take out the what? Lunch. And I'll select gender. Again, it's going to change the color. I'll replace the color again, go to format, go to slices, female, change it to light purple, male, change it to a darker purple. So we can see the average scores of what? Male, 68. Average scores of female, 71. Interesting. So the female performed better than the male. That's also interesting to show. All right. So I'm going to change the title very quickly. Performance by what? Gender. So I'll go to general, I'll go to title, and I'll change it to performance by what? Gender. And this is the very last visual that we will create. The very last visual that we will create. And I'll show you something before we just, round off, go back to the slides and round off our session for today. And we can still do our Q&A before we call it a day. Now, this is what we are going to present to UNESCO. What you would present as the analyst. You've shown all of these different categories, and you can start by saying that, look, reading, students perform best when they have, in the reading subject, followed by writing. And of course, mathematics is a subject where you have the average score is not as high as the average scores of the other subjects. Performance by parental level of education has an impact in the performance of students. It might not be significant, but it definitely has an impact, all right? And for students who come from a particular ethnic group, they seem to have better average performance than other students from other ethnic groups. And preparation is also very important. For students who write the preparation test or the preparatory test before exams, seem to perform better than those who have no preparation test for the different subjects. For mathematics, for example, for students who prepared, they scored 70. For those who did not prepare, they scored 66. And you can talk about the different subjects and so on. But what is even more interesting is what? Students who have a particular type of lunch and those who have the free or the reduced lunch. Power BI is so amazing that it is dynamic. I can click on anything on this visual and it changes all the numbers I have here. Okay, so I want to dive a little bit deeper into this lunch issue. I want to see, for those who have the standard lunch, their average score is 72. How many students fall within this category? What did they score in writing? What did they score in reading? What did they score in math? So the average overall for math is 67. Average overall for writing is 69. Average overall for reading is 70. But I'm going to come here to this visual, my lunch visual, and click on the standard slice. I'll click on only standard. And once I click on standard, what happens? It will change the entire dashboard to show the analysis based on what? Only students who had standard lunch. And what do we see? All the students who got standard lunch scored above 70. Is that not interesting? So for students who had standard lunch, very good lunch to school, they scored above 70. Math 71.8, English reading 72.8, writing 71.7, overall 72. Now let's click on the free and the reduced lunch and see if this is the same case. So I'll click on free and reduced. And what do you notice? For students who have the free or reduced lunch, they all scored below 70, especially in math, where they scored below 60. So lunch, as simple as it seems to students, is actually very important to how they perform in school. All right. So for policies, for recommendations you'd want to give to UNESCO based on the analysis you've done, you can show them this very clearly and say, look, this represents a major aspect, or a major factor to students' performance. I beg your pardon. Excuse me, to students' what? Performance. For students who have the standard lunch, they all scored above 70. For those who have the free and the reduced lunch, what can you see? For math, below 60. For reading, below 70. For writing, below what? 70. So that's something very profound to show. I'm going to click back on this, on reduce, to take it back to the original insights we have been able to create. And this is how you come up with visualizations as an analyst. Now, what I'm going to do is, like I said, we're going to wrap up the rest of the slides very quickly so I can take your questions and answers before we call it a day. The next thing I'll be discussing now is, for you who have never done this before, and of course, by the time you get the recording, you try it out on your own, you do it. You saw that there was nothing out of the ordinary. I did not have to write calculus. I did not have to do differentiation or integration, as so many people would want to make you believe that you have to have exceptional understanding or exceptional expertise in a particular subject for you to do this. Everybody here today can create the same thing we've done. Okay, but how do you learn the skill to become a data analyst, to create something like this, to showcase something like this? That's what I'll be showing you now. All right, so we've successfully gotten our data from the web. We brought it into Power BI. We created this amazing dashboard, seeing the important recommendations we need to give to UNESCO, which is what? Lunch is very important for students to have very good performance. The level of education of their parents also matters. For parents who had masters, they seem to perform better than parents who had just a high school, education level. Also, ethnic groups, based on the different ethnic groups, you could see that a particular ethnic group had the best performance with regards to the different subjects and the students' performance. And also looking at the preparation. For students who had preparatory tests, they performed better. For those who did not, they had a lower performance eventually. So these are recommendations you make and showcase to UNESCO. So we've created amazing dashboards in the past. And for those of you who would love to see how we created all of this, all you need to do, go to our YouTube and you'll have access to creating something similar, right? Follow us, subscribe, and then you get access to so many fantastic visualizations. How do you get started as a data analyst, irrespective of where you are? Why do you even need to get into data analytics? It's a very good question. One of the first things, of course, is the amazing salary. For a data analyst in the UK, you are looking at salaries at around £40,000 on the average. In the US, 72,000 US dollars. In Canada, 64,000 Canadian dollars, and so on and so forth. But how do you earn these amazing salaries? How do you stay wherever you are? If you're in Ghana, if you're in Nigeria, if you're in Kenya, if you're in South Africa, how do you get access to this type of jobs? How do you become a data analyst and earn this type of salary? You must answer key questions. You must have some key skills. The very first thing you need to ask yourself is, do you know how to solve problems? If your answer is no, you must learn problem-solving techniques. That's the very first thing, because as a data analyst, your fundamental responsibility is to what? Solve problems. It's a lot more than what we've just done. It revolves around what? Solving problems. So if there is a problem in the education sector with regards to students' performance, how can we improve students' performance? Based on what we've done, I'm sure you'd have one or two things to recommend for schools or for the government or for different other socioeconomic players within the space to also take note of, like the UN, the UNESCO, and so on and so forth, or UNICEF. I think I use UNESCO wrongly, UNICEF rather, that focuses on education. So problem solving is extremely important. We need to know how to identify problems, get to the root cause of the problem using tools and techniques like the 5 Whys, the McKinsey-Macy model that helps you break problems into multiple parts, understanding the CRISP DM framework for data analytics projects, how to approach a data analytics problem, and so on and so forth. So that's the very first thing you need to learn. So anybody here, you want to become a data analyst, you need to know problem solving. Once you've done that, you move to the second step, which is what? Microsoft Excel. Now, a lot of you would assume or think you know how to use Excel. Can you create a dashboard in Excel? Can you summarize data in Excel? Can you bring in data using Power Query, similar to what we've done in Power BI today? What type of functions can you use in Excel? Can you use different logical functions to give you results based on conditions? These are questions you need to ask yourself. If you don't know how to do all of this, Excel is that #1 versatile tool. And people underrate Excel a lot to their own detriment. Excel is absolutely fantastic when it comes to analytics, all right? So you have to learn Excel. That's the second step. Once you have learned Excel, you move to the next level. Do you know how to interact with databases? Do you know SQL, SQL, structured query language? I'm going to type that into the chat. Structured query language. Structured query language. Okay, so this is the language of databases. This is the language that helps you interact with the database. Organizations will not have data sitting in Excel files, sitting in different computers. You'd have the data in a database. How do you access the data? How do you extract the data to do your analysis? So you need to understand SQL. Anybody getting into data has to understand SQL. You can't run away from it. Organizations will require that you understand SQL. All right. Once you've learned that, you now know how to write queries, to interact with databases. You then move to the next step, which is what? Power BI. I'm sure you've seen the power of Power BI today, and this is just a fraction of what Power BI can do. And when I say a fraction, I mean a little fraction of what Power BI can do. We didn't even go into descriptive, we didn't go into descriptive data analysis or exploratory data analysis with Power BI to check the data, to check for outliers, to check for this, to check for that. We didn't do all of that. There's so many things you can do with Power BI for business intelligence. If you don't know how to use Power BI, then becoming a data analyst would be a joke. All right? So you start from problem solving, you move to Excel, SQL, Power BI, know how to use Power BI to do amazing stuff, build dashboards, publish the dashboard, send the dashboard to different stakeholders, and so on and so forth. Once you know how to do this, you know Power BI, you move to the very next step, which is what? Tableau. Tableau is another fantastic analytic tool, similar to what Power BI would do, to do a lot of the things Power BI can do. All right. Now, Tableau is amazing in the sense that some organizations would have a preference for Power BI. Some would have preference for Tableau. Okay. So over time, what we've also seen in the market, we've seen situations whereby organizations would require you to have an understanding of Power BI. But unfortunately, you know Tableau, you don't know Power BI. So you can't apply to that job. Some organizations would say, look, I need Power BI, I don't need Tableau. But you know Tableau, you don't know Power BI, and vice versa. So you become stuck with the number of jobs you can apply to. But the understanding of both opens your world into so many opportunities to apply to, all right? So having these key 5 skills, problem solving, Excel, SQL, Power BI, and Tableau, you can get a job as a data analyst anywhere. Get a job as a data analyst anywhere. I've worked with thousands of people, and I'll tell you for a fact, for some people with the understanding of only Excel, they got jobs with the NHS. I'll share their stories with you. I'll show you. With the NHS in the UK, they got jobs with organizations in the US, with Hugo in the US, and so on and so forth, with the understanding of only Excel. All right. So that's why we always tell our people that join our programs, immediately are done with Excel, you start applying to jobs. You're not going to wait until you do problem solving, you do Excel, SQL. No. Once you are done with Excel, you start to apply to jobs. Okay. Now, what does the program entail? For somebody who wants to learn these different 5 skills and get started as a data analyst, how do you learn? You have a learning journey, a roadmap of 3+ months, 2 months live classes, which are project-based classes, working on projects. Mohammed would share some of the projects you'd work on, and I'll share some of them with you on my slides as well. So you'd see the best way to learn is not by watching videos, right, which most people are used to. And that's why they learn, and they learn forever. For us, the focus is on what? Practical application, similar to what we did today. You will get a data set, you'd have a case study, real life based case study, based on some of the experiences I've had with the different companies and different organizations I've developed solutions for. We codify some parts, we hide some of the data due to data privacy issues, and we create a case study out of it. And you work on that case study to come up with a solution. For 2 months, you're going to be doing that. And once you are done, you get a capstone project. The capstone project helps to test your skills in the things you've learned: problem solving, Excel, Power BI, SQL, Tableau. You solve problems based on the different skills and the different tools you've learned. When you're done with your capstone project, you then move into the virtual internship. The virtual internship is the best thing that could happen to you, the best thing that can ever happen to you, because that's where you start to create portfolio projects, right? Projects that you showcase to recruiters, projects that you have the link to your portfolio on your CV, so that when your CV has gone through the ATS system, they call you up for an interview. Before they call you up, they click on your link and see your portfolio of projects, and they see what you've done. You solved this problem, you built this, you built that. It would show them that, look, you've done a lot of work in this area. Let's invite you for an interview. And that's what your learning roadmap looks like. 3+ months, 2 months project-based classes, 2 weeks capstone project, and 1 month virtual internship. And the very first day you join Tenalytics, that day your title on LinkedIn will change to what? Data analytics consultant with Tenalytics. Because guess what? The same skills you apply in solving these problems are the exact same skills you would apply in the real life. So why trivialize what you've learned? Why trivialize the case studies you've solved? Why trivialize the projects you've worked on? You're not going to do that. You're going to tell people that I've worked as a data analytics consultant with Tenalytics, and these are the projects I've been able to accomplish for clients. So nobody will tell you that you don't have experience or you've been doing strategy before and you're new to data analytics. I'm not new because I have worked on XYZ projects. That's how you sell yourself. It's all about what? Packaging. Now, if you're in the UK, you're in Africa, you are within the same time zone, you have classes that fit into your schedule, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays, West African time, or British summertime, which is currently the same with West African time at the moment. So 11 a.m. in the morning, 2 to 2 p.m., 3 hours on Saturday, you have a live class where you'd have somebody like myself. You'd have a live facilitator working with you, helping you solve projects. And on Sunday, you have a more self-paced session. It's not a live class on Sunday. You have Watch Me Do It videos. The Watch Me Do It videos are videos, short videos you get to watch. You watch concepts, you understand the concept ahead of the next class the following weekend. All right. Your weekends are meant for what? Case studies and projects. On Saturdays, Sundays are for the theoretical, for the conceptual things you need to understand with regards to analytics. And if you're in the US, if you're in Canada, you also have a time that fits to your own time zone, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time, or 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Toronto, Canada time. All right. So a typical Saturday, you have 2 different classes, one tailored towards the UK, European, African markets, and the second class tailored towards the North American, US, Canadian, and so on markets. So wherever you want to join, it's up to you. If you're in Canada, for example, you're planning to move to Canada, you're in the US, you have a class that fits into your schedule, your time zone. If you're in Nigeria, if you're in Ghana, if you're in the UK, if you're across Europe, in Poland, in Switzerland, in France, you have a schedule that also fits into your time zone, all right? And this is what the learning journey looks like. And I'll quickly just share with you, how do you make that jump, all right? Because with the technical skill, there's so many people that have the technical skill, but what they don't have is that thing that has made Tenalytics very successful in helping so many people transition. And I'll share them with you. When you learn with us, all the technical parts, your technical part is 50% of what you need. You need another 50% to help you land the job. And I'll share what you need, okay? So I talked about the learning roadmap, talked about this already, 2 months project-based classes, 2 weeks capstone, 1 month internship. Your sessions are virtual, instructor-led. You have a facilitator, you have a trainer that will work with you, help you solve problems. You interact with them, you can ask live questions, you try something out, it didn't work out for you, you get to collaborate, ask questions. The moment you join the program, you join a Slack group, a Slack channel for easy communication and collaboration. You also join a WhatsApp group, and then the Google Classroom. Your Google Classroom is where you have all your materials. So every class is recorded. So you have a class on Saturday, and that Saturday, you have an emergency in the office. You have to be in the office, you have to do work and so on. So you missed the live class. The class will be recorded, uploaded into the classroom. And all you have to do is, at your own convenience on that same day, you get access to the platform, watch the recording, get all the materials that was used in class. And then you have the opportunity to also implement the same and ask questions if there's anything that is unclear to you, all right? Again, your classes are Saturdays and Sundays. I mentioned that already. Saturdays are for your live classes. Sundays are for your what? Self-paced, watch me do it videos. And you get to learn from the best in the industry. That's the game changer. You're not learning from people who learned on YouTube or people who learned on Coursera or people who learned on different platforms. No, you are learning from professionals who are doing the job on a day-to-day basis. They've worked in the industry, so you're not just learning the technical bits of things, you're also learning through an experiential learning model where I'll be sharing my experience with you, how you apply this in the real world, what you get to do when you get a job as a data analyst, or how you even dive into the space to get a job, and so on and so forth. All right. Now, like I mentioned, technical part is just 50% of what you need. What gets you that job eventually? And that's the other 50% that you also get when you join our program. 7 key strategies. Number 1 is your CV review. Okay, for some of you that joined the sessions we held, I think about over the weekend, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, we had sessions tailored towards the UK market, the Canada market, and you saw clearly how important your CV can be to you landing a job. Because your CV is your representation in paper format, all right? The recruiter would first of all see your CV. And imagine a job opening, 1,000 people apply, 1,000 people. How on earth do you expect a recruiter to what? Look at 1,000 CVs, read the CVs, and invite you? It's impossible. So what happens is it passes through a system called ATS, Applicant Tracking System. And how does the applicant tracking system works? It would look at your CV vis-a-vis the job description and match the keywords that you have in your CV and the job description. And it would give it a match. For example, you have 1,000 CVs. It does the match between your CV and the job you're applying to, and you score 55%. It takes another person's CV, matches it with the job description, and that person scores 89%. Who do you think they would call for the interview? The 55% or the 89%? Who do you think they would call? I want to hear from you. Who do you think they would call for the interview? 89%, obviously. 89%, that's a no-brainer. 89%. Thank you, Kolawole. Thank you, Peter. So the question is, how do you ensure that your CV gets to 89 to 90% match, or even sometimes above 90% match? And those are the things we'll work with you to help you. There are different tools you deploy to help you do that. All right, we work with you to show you how to do it, how to also leverage ChatGPT to get these things done. You need to write a cover letter. How do you write your cover letter leveraging ChatGPT? As a data analyst, how do you leverage ChatGPT to give you more compelling analytics based on this particular problem you're trying to solve? Those are the things you're going to learn. Then you move to your LinkedIn optimization. LinkedIn is another tool that would get you a job before any other platform will ever do that for you. So how do you optimize your LinkedIn profile? If I want to recruit for a data analyst and you've submitted an application for a data analyst, I run your CV through the ATS system, it gave me 89%. I then go to your CV, I then go to your LinkedIn profile, and I'm seeing things around, rather than seeing dashboards, seeing different analytics you've done using different tools, I'm seeing you talking about, economic related issues, nothing related to the job role you're trying to apply to. That's a red flag. So one of the things we'll show you how to do is optimize your LinkedIn profile to attract the best of the best recruiters based on the job you're trying to get as a data analyst. And then for those of you who would like to get jobs from the comfort of your home. You're in Nigeria, you don't want to move to the UK, you don't want to move to Canada, you don't want to move to the US, you're not traveling across Europe. You want to work where you are in Nigeria, for example, and earn in dollars, earn in euros. How can you do that? Upwork optimization. If you don't have an Upwork profile as a data analyst, then, and you want to work remotely, you need to get something done about that. Okay, so we help you build an Upwork profile. You'd also show you how to optimize your profile to attract jobs from different companies. You get to do the jobs, you earn in foreign currency, and then you get to spend in your local currency. We'll show you some of the people who have done that have gotten jobs across different areas, different countries, leveraging on Upwork optimization. All right. How to navigate the job market is another very important aspect. Okay. We held a session where we showed people in the UK how to make the switch from a tier 4 student visa to a tier 2 skilled worker visa. All right, because people don't have this information and they don't know what to do to make the switch. What is required? It's a point-based system. You need to get to a specific number of points. How do you get it? People don't know. All right, so during the navigating the job market sessions, based on your location, you will meet with experts, people who know what you need to do. What exactly do I need to do? What should I look out for to get the best based on my current location? Wherever you are, I want to get a job. These are the things you need to look out for, and so on and so forth. Recommendation letters. I can't overemphasize the importance of recommendations and references. Every day I get references. I get references requests, recommendation requests from different organizations. This person has applied to a job. We need you to confirm that they're of good character, they've worked with you before, and so on and so forth. We do that for you because that's usually the last stretch to you getting a job. Somebody standing in as a referee for you. Now you've gotten that interview. You need somebody to help. You need somebody to help you prepare. And not just anybody, somebody who has done it before, somebody who has been in the industry that knows the type of questions that would likely come up. We sit down with you, work with you, ensure that we simulate the real life interview session, ask you questions to test your preparation. And you would also know that, look, I need to do more reading. I need to do more practice before I go into that interview, because these are the type of questions you're likely going to get asked. We share materials with you, and I'll show you some of the people that we helped through that pipeline and how they were able to land jobs. One of them just landed a job about 2 weeks ago, one about 3 weeks ago. And I'll share how, from where they started, how they got to the stage of sending them materials, preparing for interviews, and they got the job eventually. And last but not the least is what? The weekly mentorship session. Every evening, every week, you have the weekly mentorship session where myself, the co-founder of Tenalytics, and other industry experts would sit down with you and get to understand your pain points. Okay, what do you want to achieve? You've started the journey, because it's very easy to start, but along the line, when you start to encounter a little bit of challenge here and there, you've applied to a job, you get rejections, you need somebody to let you know that, look, that's a part of the process. Right? The best of us, the best of the best, still get rejections. So when you get rejections, you take a step back, look at the reason why you must have gotten the rejections and how to, surmount that challenge. You need people who have been through that same path to help you navigate and surmount those same challenges you're likely going to face. And that's what the weekly mentorship session is all about. From number 1 to number 7, this forms the critical 50% that lands you the job. Okay? And this is the game changer. When it comes to, anybody can learn the technical skill. I can take 1 year out of my time and I go on YouTube and I learn and learn and learn. All right? Most of the time it's not usually structured. So that's a major challenge. You spend a lot of time watching videos aimlessly. What you don't get is that hand holding. That person that will stand as a referee for you when an organization eventually says, okay, we want to hire you, provide 3 references who can vouch for your character or show that you have done this before. When it's time to prepare for interviews, how do you prepare? Who works with you to ensure that you say the right things when you get in there and so on and so forth? And that's what has made us very successful. Okay, some of the projects you work on includes different projects from the Castro Workplace Technology, where you'll be recommending to the company, showing them that, look, we need to improve our offerings, our facilities to retain the talents that we have to reduce attrition within the company. You'd work on a Nestle product analytics project. You'd work on an online food delivery company, helping them get insights into what they need to do. You'd work on projects on fraudulent transactions in a bank, helping the bank uncover transactions that are fraudulent. And these are projects you add to your portfolio. You'd work on employee attrition projects where you'd help IBM solve problems related to attrition. You work on data science salaries, doing an analysis of salaries across different data science roles across the globe. You'd work on projects for an airline company, the Redux Airline case study, where you'd help the airline navigate, challenging waters, how to help them get back to revenue making based on the several challenges they have. You'd work on a project called the Legacy Group that involves helping the company understand the people data that they have and how they can leverage that to take better decisions. You work on the FIFA case study. You'd work on Education for All, fundraising charity case study that involves you working with a charity organization that needs to get donors to get donors to donate money for the different causes that they have. So how do you recommend to them to take a particular donor? What type of initiatives do they need to come up with to attract more people and so on and so forth? You'd work on the Titanic data sets and so many other projects along the line of your study with us at Tenalytics. And Mohammed would come to showcase the platform later once I'm done with my own side of things, and then we can take very quick questions, all right? And some of the platforms where you can get remote jobs, like I mentioned, Upwork is number 1. Okay, you have remote.co, you have LinkedIn, fantastic jobs. You have Well-Found, where you can also get remote jobs. You have Indeed, can be indeed.ca if you're in Canada, indeed.co.uk if you're in the UK, and so on and so forth. And you get to work with professionals. I can't overemphasize the importance of this. You work with myself, based in the UK, work with the co-founder of Tenalytics, Efemena, also in the UK, work with professionals like Nene, who is a commercial analytics professional, also in the UK, worked with organizations like KPMG, Bank of America, the Denham Group in the UK, and so many other organizations like that. You'd work with Obina, who is a data scientist in Canada, who would work with you to show you, for those in Canada, for example, how to navigate the waters and ensure that you're able to land a job as an analyst. And of course, that's myself. I'll lead you through the program itself. And then you have Tony. Tony is also the data analytics lead at Tenalytics. She's had over 5 years experience working across different roles, from data analyst to data scientist to machine learning engineer. She could work with you technically to help you understand how to use all these different tools, okay? You would also work with Mohammed. Mohammed is on the call. Mohammed introduced the program. Mohammed also has about 5 years experience as a data analyst. He's a data associate with Tenalytics. You have Oladapo. Oladapo is in Bermuda. Oladapo is going to teach you Excel. Okay, he's a senior consultant with Deloitte at Bermuda. We've worked together. He's an exceptional professional, somebody who does the job on a day-to-day, like I said, right? You're working with people who currently do the things you're trying to do. So you are learning from the best hands, not just technically, but also experientially. You'd work with Olugbemi. For those that joined the Canada session, you would have seen Olugbemi at Caribou. Olugbemi is a business data analyst for the Law Depot in Canada. He's one of the professionals who would work with you on Power BI. And for those in Canada, work with you on how to use the different types of formats for the CV, for example, the Wharton format for your CV, work with you on how to structure your LinkedIn, how to create your portfolio and create a website, a simple website that showcases all the projects you've worked on your portfolio. And this is Obinna. Of course, Obinna worked as a data scientist in Access Bank, currently in Canada as a data scientist, would work with you as well during your journey. Okay. Now, the next cohort starts on the 1st of July, 2023. Okay, 2 Saturdays from now, the next cohort starts, right? And for those who would love to join, I know a lot of you have been sending me DMs asking, how much does it take for me to be a part of the program? How long does it take for me to be a part of the program? Ose, I can see your attempt. That's absolutely phenomenal. Well done, Ose. Well done, well done. So how much does it take for me to be a part of the program? Now, we have a special discount for you guys, all right? For people who stay during these sessions, we've been having multiple sessions, and we are ending anything discount this week. So for those who want to join the program, the original fee is £400 if you're paying in pounds, or 320,000 Naira if you're paying in Naira. That's the original fee. But we have a discount for you guys who join our master classes, the free master classes. So rather than paying £400 if you're paying in pounds, or paying 320,000 if you're paying in Naira, you get to pay £300 you're paying in pounds. So you have £100 discount off the bat, and you can make the payment in 2 installments of £200 to get into class, and then £100 1 month after the program commences. You are paying in Naira instead of paying 320, you get to pay 270, 180,000 to get into the class, and then 90,000 1 month into the program. If you're paying in dollars, US dollars, it's $400 US, 300 first payment to get registered, and $100 1 month. And if you're paying in Canadian dollars, if you're in Canada, for example, it's 500 Canadian dollars, 350 card to get into the program to get registered. At the moment we confirm your payments, you receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the materials you need: how to download and install Power BI, how to download and install Excel, how to download and install Tableau. So every single tool that you need, you have that in the welcome kit. You have your timetable that shows you Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., your time zone. This is when you have a live class, and so on and so forth. So you have everything in that welcome kit the moment we confirm your payment. All right. Second payment is 150 Canadian dollars 1 month after the program commences. We are doing a direct transfer. You can make payments into our UK accounts to get started, or you can make payments into our Naira account if you are paying in Naira. All right. The discount for this session is available to the first 20 people. Okay. And I'll give you an example of what typically happens. We held a session on Sunday, this past Sunday. We gave a discount for the first 20 people. By Monday, midday, the entire discount was gone. The entire discount was gone. In fact, we had to extend the discount for others who had said, look, I would love to still join. I've made my payments already. We extended it for them. Okay. So the discount slot gets taken very, very fast. So if it's something you want to do, you want to get into data analytics, you want to become a data analyst, there is no better place to learn than Tenalytics. You're working with absolute outstanding professionals who would not just teach you the technical skill, but help you navigate the murky waters of getting a job, because that's the difficult part of things. The technical bit is something would work with you easily. That's our bread and butter. But how do you then get a job? How do you work on your CV? How do you have an optimized LinkedIn profile? How do you prepare for interviews, and so on and so forth? That's where our strength lies. Work with you to help you make that switch and make that transition. Okay. So once you make payments, all you have to do is send us a message, a WhatsApp message, and then you send us your proof of payment. We confirm your payment, and we send you a link for you to fill the registration form. and we confirm your payment, and you get into the class. You receive your welcome kit from us. And for those who might have, you are in Poland, for example, you're in Switzerland, you're in France, because we have our participants cut across the entire world. You can make payments using PayPal, okay? You can make the full payment using any of these links, or you make the part payment if you want to make the part payment using these PayPal links. The slides will be shared with you. You'll have access to all the links and all the content of the slides. And for those of you in Nigeria who might not want to do a direct transfer, but you want to make payments using your card, your Naira card. Okay, so if you have a dollar card or a pound card or euro, you will not want to use the PayPal, the Paystack, okay? But for those who are in Nigeria, you have your Naira card, you want to pay using your card, you can make payments using Paystack as well. And if you click on the link, for example, it takes you here. All you need to do is you just simply go to where you have Career Skill Incubator, Data Analytics, okay? You click on that, and then do you want to make the full payment or part payments? You select full payments. If that's what you want, you get the price of the full payment. You add to bag, add your card details, you make the payment. If you want to make part payment, you can also do that. You make the part payment, add to bag, and then you add your details, and that's it. You pay, and then you join the program. Once you make payments, we get all your details, and then we are good to go. I'll answer all the questions you have. Oshoka and Lekon. Oshoka and Lekon. There's no discount for Father's Day. Guess what, Lekon? All right, guess what, Lekon? You have only 25% of tech roles occupied by women. Only 25%. So the other 75 are already occupied by men. So for the men asking for discount for Father's Day, it's not something that would, I would say, encourage the total inclusion of people in tech. All right, that was why we had discount for the women during the Women's Day, simply because you have only 25% of tech roles occupied by women. So we need to encourage more women to get into tech eventually. Okay, so after making payment, like we said, you send your proof of payment to us, and then you receive a welcome kit from us. You can send us messages to any of these numbers. So if I were you, I'll take a screenshot, take note of the numbers, or you can send us an email to dataanalytics@tenalytics.io. And then somebody will respond to any message or email you send to us. All right. So those are the account details on the screen for those of you who are interested in joining the program starting on the 1st of July. If I were you, I'll just take a screenshot so I don't miss the discount available for the first 20 people. And just to walk through two testimonials, There are a lot of testimonials on the slide because time is fast spent. I'm not going to take too much time highlighting the different success stories. For the most recent ones, I want to highlight Benga's story. Benga joined our data analytics program all the way from Poland. Okay, stays in Poland, joined the program. I think that was in February. He joined in February. And Benga got a job 2 weeks ago as a business data analyst. He was super excited. I had an interview session with Benga. He had an interview session with Tony, who is one of our senior data associates. Eventually, he was able to land the job. And when he got the job, he sent me a message immediately on LinkedIn. Boss, I got this job. I was super excited. Benga, that's amazing. Congratulations and everything. And here he's sending a message saying that your team has been really helpful, especially with my background check. What's the background check all about? And this is where it becomes, when you talk about referencing a recommendation, it's all about background check. And like I mentioned, for any of our participants, when you go on LinkedIn, I want everybody to do this exercise at the end of the session. Go on LinkedIn, type Tenalytics, and when you have Tenalytics come up, click on people to see the people that have Tenalytics on their profile. Because one of the first things we'll tell you is recruiters want people who have experience. They're not going to listen to say, oh, I've just learned the skill, I'm very good. No. Have you applied the skill? Have you worked before? That's what they want to hear. So the moment you tell them that, look, I've worked with Tenalytics as a data analytics consultant, I've worked on this project and that project, that gives you an entry into the fold for consideration, right? So the background check was something we helped him with in terms of recommendations, in terms of references and so on. He's saying, I want to say I appreciate this opportunity you gave to me. And I was telling him, hey, Gbenga, it's not an opportunity I gave to you. You did what? You took the step. I was congratulating him and saying, look, Gbenga, you took that first step to saying, I want to learn and I want to join. So congratulations, but thank you for joining Tenalytics, all right? So what was even more interesting is Gbenga did not just get one offer. He got how many offers? 3 offers. I got 3 more offers. So he went with the best one, obviously, the one that paid the highest, the one that paid the best, simply because we worked with Gbenga and we helped him do what? Navigate. He started the job already. He started last week. He's doing the job. And I mean, for us at Tenalytics, that's the success story. Okay, so Gbenga, just like every other person, paid his money and then was coming back to thank us for giving him the opportunity. And I mean, there's nothing more amazing than that. I'd also love to share Stephen's story with you. Stephen got his job 3 weeks ago as a junior data analyst with the Access Group in the UK. Gbenga was in Poland. Gbenga got his job in Poland. Stephen is in the UK, got his job in the UK with the Access Group in the UK. Stephen's story is also very interesting, simply because Stephen used to work as a customer experience professional with a major retail giant here in the UK, but he needed to make that switch. I'm not okay with doing customer service. I want to get something better. We worked with Stephen. He joined our program. I think that was around February as well. So for those that joined in February, they are getting so many job opportunities because this is the season, okay? Stephen got his job as a junior data analyst, and he sent me a message, of course, when he had the interview, sent me messages. I have an interview. I had a session with him and I sent him materials to prepare. You can see them, the Word documents, sent them to him, data analytics questions and answers, and job preparation links that we've created to help you guide you, all right? He said, thanks, boss, I'll have a look at it. And the next message he sent to me was that, what? Boss, good morning, I have gotten the job. And I was super excited, okay? And he was asking me if I remember the first call where he was asking me about business analysis and data analytics, because people ask that question all the time. And before he joined, he requested to have a call. I discussed with him what's the difference between data analytics and business analysis. We had that call. And I told him, look, go for the data analytics program. And eventually he joined. And today, Stephen is working as a junior data analyst, transitioning from customer success to data analytics here in the UK. And that's super, super amazing. So that's Gbenga's story. That's Stephen's story. You have Whistling. I mean, I can go on and on, talk about Whistling's story. Afterwards, also, Whistling works with Shell here in the UK as a sales analyst. After joining our data analytics program, Emeka got a job with Western Union. Olugbemi got a job in Canada with Law Depot after joining our data analytics program. You have Uthman. Uthman works with the NHS here in the UK, got a job after our data analytics program. And Uthman is the one I said got a job with the understanding of only Excel. From his assessment to his assessment center, his interview, the presentations he has to do was 100% Excel, all right? And that's why I always tell people, for people who say you need to know heaven and earth to get a job, that's absolutely wrong. You can get a job by leveraging on the tools and the skills you have. How to search for that job that requires and needs the skill that you have is where that's the difference between those who get the job, who are successful, and those who are not, okay? So I'm not going to bore you with too many success stories. You have all of that in the slide. I'll share my slides with you at the end of today's session. And then You can have a look at them, go to our YouTube, listen to what people have been saying, and how we've helped so many people make that transition and make that switch. Okay, so I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to take questions. If you'd love to unmute yourself to ask a question, I'll be very happy to hear from you. And then Mohammed would also show us how to, the platform, what the platform looks like with regards to how you will learn. Okay, so if you have questions, just use the raised hand icon. I'll call you up to speak. So Mohammed, if you are still there, you want to quickly just show us the platform. So when you join Tenalytics and you join a particular class, what does it look like? What type of projects are you going to work on? Where will you find your recordings, your case studies, your data sets? Where are you going to find them? Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing. I'll allow Mohammed to quickly share, and then I'll take Lekon's question because Lekon has a question. So Mohammed, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Adaiza. I'm sure you would agree with me that what you've learned so far, just in this practical session, is so marvelous. Now, take a look at this. This is the data analytics cohort, the May cohort, and you can see other cohorts right here. So this is the Google Classroom. This is the Google Classroom where you gain access to your materials. And you can see right here, I just came out of this drop-in session before joining this meeting myself, where I get to answer questions from some of our participants, who are currently in our program. Now you can see materials here. This for Power BI. You can see mentorship sessions as well. And this is where Adaiza was making mention of the fact that you would learn soft skills that actually land you the job. Now, I'll show you something very interesting. Adaiza mentioned something about Excel. Now, take a look at this. This is the class material for the third live Excel session. Okay, now look at this material. This is case study 3. So this is the slide. Now, this is, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, now this is sales performance analysis. And look at the case study right here. It's built upon a real life scenario, a real business scenario. Okay, and you can see the tasks, shaped to walk you through the process of building a dashboard in Excel. Now, a lot of us may not know that it's possible to build a dashboard in Excel. Now, this case study has a data set, okay, which was used to build this dashboard in Excel. This is Excel. This is a sheet called dashboard. This is a sheet called calculations, and this is the raw data set. Now look at this dashboard. It's interactive. You can see total revenue. It's a sales performance dashboard. Total revenue. You can see the trend of profit. And when I want to see trend of profit for a year, I click on 2015, and I want to see for earpiece, which is a product. You can see what happens to the trend line. It's showing me that for 2015, this was the trend of profit for earpiece. You'll be learning this in a live session with a top-notch professional like myself, Adaiza, and some of the other facilitators that Adaiza made mention of. Now, so guys, that's just a tip of the iceberg, okay?
All right. Mohammed, I want you to quickly go back to the Google Classroom, if you will, and just click on people, because for the different cohorts, you have the people that shows people that registered, the students, and so on and so forth. So if you click on people, how many do we have in class for May?
You can see 52 students.
We have 52 students registered in May. So we have cohorts every single month for the different programs we offer. All right. So this is just data analytics. Okay. And we have 52 people registered for the month of May. Now, out of the 52 people that registered, only 20 had access to the discounts. And that's why the discount is amazing. Now, we don't want people who have not attended our sessions to come take advantage of the discount. When you have attended, you've seen, you've learned something, you know what the program entails, you know what you stand to gain and what you stand to learn when you join one of our programs. Okay, so thank you very much, Mohammed, for that. I'll just take very quick questions and then we'll start to call it a day. The first question I'll take is from sorry, I think that was Shoka. Let me check if I can remember who sent that question. I asked a question, data analytics, data engineering. Yes, Oshoka. Data analytics, data engineering, what's the difference? Data analytics, you've seen what we've done today. Okay, we had a question we needed to answer. We got data from a website. Let's assume the data was gotten from a school because it's performance, students' performance data. So as a data analyst, you'd get data like that generated by companies, and you'd help those companies understand insights that the data contains. Share those insights to the stakeholders who are going to take decisions, all right? So let's take, for example, you work for a manufacturing company, okay? You want to check and know what the performance has been like with regards to the number of cars you've sold. Let's say it's an automobile company, number of cars you've sold, how much revenue did you generate, how much have you spent in manufacturing those vehicles, which location gives you the highest revenue, which location gives you the lowest revenue, and so on and so forth. So you're going to bring that data, do your analysis, create a dashboard similar to what we've done using Power BI today. And then you tell the key stakeholders that, look, for this particular location, we're not doing very well. We need to improve. And these are the type of vehicles we sell in this location that perhaps is limiting the revenue we get from that particular location. Because if we compare it to our location at Abuja, Abuja has the highest revenue, or Manchester has the highest revenue. So what type of vehicles do we sell there? What type of vehicles are in high demand in that location, giving us very low revenue? So these are the things you communicate to people so that they can take decisions, plan better to optimize and maximize revenue. Okay, that's a data analyst role. A data engineer has a different role entirely. You're not presenting to anybody. You're not presenting for people to take decisions and improve growth, improve revenue, and so on and so forth. No, a data engineer is the provider of the data, because the data is generated from different systems and different sources, different locations, all right? So when that data is generated, it needs to be made available in a location that anybody can easily access or the data analyst can access. So the data engineer's duty is to go to the different systems, the different sources where the data is generated. So if data is generated on the web, if data is generated internally within the business, if data is generated from POS machines across different locations, data is generated from mobile applications that people install on their phones, the data engineer would gather all that data from the different systems, create data pipelines, and make that data available in a central location. Okay? The data analyst can then go to that central location to access the data for his or her analysis. So as a data engineer, you are providing the data. That's your responsibility. As a data analyst, you are getting the data and doing the analysis. I don't know if that makes sense or that helps to answer. That's to put it in a very simple, in a very simple explanation. So if you're somebody who loves, you love to see yourself presenting, diving deep into the data, doing analysis, talking to people, talking to the CEO, talking to the board members. This is what I've seen. These are the things we need to take note of. The analysis we did today, we could clearly see that students who have good lunch that they take to school perform better. So we have to implement, strategies. We have to implement different packages that will allow students to have good meals in school so they can perform better. That's the role of the data analyst. You are communicating the insights, doing the analysis, for the business or the stakeholders to take data-driven decisions. The data engineer, you are just responsible for making the data available. If that data is generated on the web, how can I get the data from the web to the database? How can I get the data from a mobile application into the database? How can I get data from a different other data source into the database so that the analyst can access that data for his or her analysis? I hope that helps to answer the question, Ashoka. All right, fantastic. Okay, so Lekon, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. You can go ahead and ask your question, Lekon.
Okay, good evening. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for this training. I really appreciate it. My question is about your mentorship. I've been to a lot of training. In fact, I've submitted a lot of applications. I've not even gotten to a place where I'll be asked, I'll be called for an interview. And the purpose of me coming to Tenalytics is that 50% of the other 50% of soft skills. Very, very important to me because I've been on this for a very long time. Someone told my so my question is about your mentorship. Is it limited to the period of this training, or goes beyond that till when we are able to get something in the job for ourselves? So I need to ask that question, please.
All right, fantastic. Very good question, Lekon. And again, like, we always say that's the most of the reasons why people that come to us, they come to us, and why they've also been successful, because it's difficult to find any company out there that would hold your hands to help you do all these things and get a job eventually. The mentorship is not just limited to when you have your training, okay? For example, some people that joined in January that haven't gotten jobs yet, they still join our mentorship sessions. And we are currently in June, half year, okay? So you join for the 3 months, you have your training program with us. You join the weekly mentorship sessions, you are a part of it. You do all the things we say you should do. We listen to you, you have an interview, you schedule an interview session, and I'm going to share what that looks like very quickly. So somebody scheduled a session with me for tomorrow. I'm just going to show you what platform looks like, okay? And how you can also schedule similar sessions. So once you are done with your program, that's not the end. We're not cutting you off to say, look, you are done. We no longer want to see you. No. So you be with us until you are able to land a job, okay? Except you decide, look, I don't think I want to, I think I've gotten enough that I need, and I don't have to join the sessions every week anymore, all right? So if you can see my screen, this is my email. This is a Calendly event. I'm just going to click on that for you to see, okay? So this gentleman has an interview scheduled for interview preparation session scheduled for tomorrow. It's 6:30, Wednesday, 21st of June, 6:30 UK time. So it's a 1-hour session, right? So description, do you have an interview coming up? That's what I always ask people. Let's sit down and dissect the role together and help you prepare, okay? So once, all we do is we give you a link, you fill that link, I get an invite, you get the invites, we schedule a session, we sit down together, we look at the different things you'd like to talk about. If it's related to you getting a job, if it's related to you, a personal thing you'd love to discuss with any of our team members, and so on and so forth. So that's what we do. We hold your hands and help you with that level of support that you need to break into the space, okay? So after your program, that's not the end of your mentorship. It goes on until you don't want to join anymore, all right? I hope that answers your question, Lekon. So I'm going to ask Temitope. I think I'll take about 3 questions and then I'll call it a day because of time. So Temitope, please go ahead. You have a question.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. And firstly, I would like to say a very big thank you for everything you've shared with us tonight. Like, I've really learned a lot, and I say thank you once again, sir. So to my question, I go to know your platform via Instagram. And before then, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Okay. So and before then, I think I've been able to see some set of people, Instagram bringing different people that are also into data analysts that could also, teach and all. So but what I noticed is that the outline for the courses from the Excel, SQL, Power BI and all, they actually included Python into their curriculum. So I don't know, like, is it that maybe the Python is not necessary for the data analyst? Because I think I've seen it like 3-4 different places, so to say, or even much more than that, that they actually included Python into the program. So I don't know, is it that we won't be needing it for the data analyst, or so it's a bit confusing for me. So that's what I just want to know, if it's not going to be necessary for the data analyst, or it's something that might still be included as time goes on. So that's my question, sir.
All right, that's a beautiful question, Temitope. Now, is Python necessary? Is Python not necessary? To get started as a data analyst, you don't need Python. All right. Now, I'll tell you how that plays out, and how you as an individual, you can also do your own research. Okay. Now, if I search data analyst roles today, I'll see a lot of roles that might say, oh, you need to understand Python. I'll see a lot that also says you only need Excel and Power BI. You only need Excel and SQL. But the question is, what do you need in terms of the volume of the jobs out there, and what you can learn within a specified period, a specific period, and get into the job market? Are those 5 key things I listed: problem solving, Excel, Power BI, SQL, Tableau. All right. Once you have this, for some people that I shared with you, I shared their testimonial with you. None of them studied Python. None. Benga, no Python. Anointing, Stephen, no Python. Whistling, no Python. Emmanuel Emeka, no Python. Bemi, no Python. Usman was only Excel. This other gentleman, quickly show you, his name is Victor, only Excel. Right? So, like you said, it could be a bit tricky and a bit confusing for somebody who doesn't have a good understanding or a good grasp of what the market demands. People would feel that I need to know all of these things. I need to know all the 5 things I've mentioned, including Python, including MongoDB, including Cassandra. And there's so many other tools you can add to your skill, including Google Studio, which is currently called Looker, and BigQuery, and so many other things that you would see out there, AWS, when you search for jobs. But because I search for a job and I see one job that says I need to have Python, does that mean I have to go and learn Python because of that one job? If I search for another job that says I need to understand AWS, does that mean I need to go and learn AWS to get a job as a data analyst? The question is, how many tools and how many skills do you need to learn to eventually become a data analyst? Okay, so that's the key question. So you can also do your own research, all right? But from the research we have carried out, from what the market demands, all those 5 skills I shared are the things you need to get a job anywhere across the globe as a data analyst, okay? Now, life doesn't end, or learning doesn't end when you get a job as a data analyst. So you get a job, somebody like Benga started 2 weeks ago. He started his job last week, got the offer 2 weeks ago, started his job last week. And he's doing the job on, in reality, he's applying all the things he's learned. We're discussing the other day, he's coming during our mentorship session tomorrow to share how he was able to navigate the whole journey, because that's also what we do. When people get jobs, we bring them to class, to the mentorship session, to also show people that, look, people are getting jobs, okay? Benga, you joined the program with us. You did not know this thing before, just like I did not know, but you got a job. How did you do it? What happened? Oh, these were the things I did. This was what I was asked during my interviews. I worked with Adesa. These were the things I prepared for, and so on and so forth. So I was discussing with Benga the other day and was saying, look, all the things I'm doing on my current role involves only the use of Excel. Benga is the one even recommending to them to add some Power BI reports, because some of the reporting they do, right, can be done better using Power BI. So they're currently using Excel. It's helping them migrate from Excel to Power BI. So if Benga comes and tells you that to be a data analyst, all you need to know is Excel, people would look at him like he's crazy. Are you crazy? How can you say that? But that's what he's doing on the job today, all right? So we don't want people to learn and learn forever. It makes no sense. You need to learn, extract value for your skills, and then you can always keep on learning and moving to the next role if you want to move and you want to grow. Learning never stops. But people learn and they learn forever because they go search for a job. They see that this job needs Python, they learn Python. They search for another job. They see that you need AWS. You go learn AWS, search for another job. You see that it needs MongoDB. You go learn MongoDB. Learning will never end for you, and you'll never get a job when you learn in that particular manner. So there's a cutoff where you learn a set of skills, and organizations that need not even all the 5 skills you have, they need just 2 or 3 of what you know how to use. SQL, for example, you're very good with SQL, you'd be a hot cake anywhere across the globe, all right? So just to summarize for you, summarize your question again, do I need Python to get a job as a data analyst? The answer is what? No. Down the line, do I need to learn Python? If you want to. I've worked as a data analyst for close to a decade, all right, about 10 years. Next year would make it 10 years I've worked as a data analyst. To do my core job, my day-to-day activities in all the companies I've worked for, and make no mistake, I've worked for some of the biggest companies in Africa, some of the biggest companies in the UK, in the US. I have never needed to use Python on my day-to-day official activity. On a personal basis where I need to do something personally to work on projects, yes, I have. But on my day-to-day activity in the office, I have never gotten to use Python, right? And that's simply when it comes to learning and application, okay? So what is needed in the market most of the time is totally different from your perception and what you think. I hope that helps to answer the question you asked. So as a data analyst, we wouldn't need Python because I see it as a requirement. Not in most roles, Ted. How many roles have you searched for? Let's do a search together, right? Let's go to LinkedIn and let's do very quick searches, and then we'll call it a day. So I'm going to go to my LinkedIn, all right? And I'm going to do a search, and I want you guys to also search data analytic roles. Or let's go to Gov. I'm going to go to gov.co.uk because you'd see a lot of jobs in there. Or you can go to Indeed. I'm going to go to find a job. Right, find a job, starts now, and I'll search for data analyst roles. Okay, so let's do a very quick search and let's search for jobs together. All right, and that's why I say everybody do your research. That would help you a lot. Okay. So let's see this specialist recruitment data analyst. I'm going to open this. I'll open this one as well. And let's see. I'll open this and I'll open this. So these are 4 different roles. Okay. Let's go to the very first one and let's check. Okay. Now, essential requirements. Okay, there's Python in this, there's SQL, there's Power BI, TSQL, and that's it. Let's go to the second one, all right? Okay, this doesn't have essential requirements. Business information. You are expected to collect, analyze data in relation to primary care, but it did specify the tools. Let's go to this and see. Skills required: day-to-day reporting, responsible for implementing, developing training, ongoing maintenance, to manage all data cleansing, input, and maintenance within the current future. Knowledge of some kind of Oracle is preferred, but not essential. So that's what this particular job role requires. Let's check the last one. I want to see where we have, if they listed any specific tool. Let me see. So responsibilities: monitoring performance of sales, product, identifying, analyzing, interpreting key performance trends, communicating with stakeholders, gathering feedback. Okay. Okay, they mentioned some tools here. Let's look at this, okay? As a data analyst, you'll be responsible for developing data output dashboards to drive key business decisions. Dashboards, you're looking at Power BI, you're looking at Tableau, right? Based on key performance elements using systems such as Tableau, Alteryx, SQL, all right? Tableau, Alteryx, SQL, okay? Let's check other roles. There are so many data analyst roles. So let's check more and let's see the different tools. NatWest Group is a big company. Let's see what they have. And for those who also check, do some search, check yourself and see. All right, this is another role. Okay, what do they need here? Ideally, you will have some experience of SQL to be comfortable with large data sets. That's the only tool they listed in here. Ideally, you should have what? Understanding, or you should be comfortable with the use of what? SQL. Did they list any other thing? Embedded business intelligence team. You work with the business intelligence team, meaning that you need to understand Power BI, okay? And make no mistake, you look at the jobs and the salary required for these jobs, and these are jobs that were posted recently, and it's the NHS. And when you're looking at the NHS jobs, you're likely going to get a tier 2 skilled worker visa. That's the meaning. Let's check more. This is NatWest. Okay, let's check NatWest and see. Okay, so skills, the skills you will need. All right, so we are looking for someone with experience using data analysis tools and delivering data analysis in technology for IT, numeric disciplines. You have a strong database management skills, which is what? SQL, right? Database management skills, SQL, familiarity with programming languages. SQL is a programming language as well, and proven experience in interpreting management information, right? Management information analyst uses Excel, Power BI, and so on and so forth. Excellent communication and so on. Let's check another one. Okay, I think this is the same one with NatWest. Okay, let's check this very last one and see. Did they indicate in here key responsibilities? And of course, you can always check LinkedIn as well. Okay, check LinkedIn, check Indeed, and do your search yourself. Okay, click on jobs, search for jobs, and you see so many jobs that requires you to have understanding of some specific. I'm just going to close this very quickly. Okay, let's search for data analyst roles. Okay, we do search for data analyst roles. I'm going to click on this very first one. It's in the UK. I guess it's giving me jobs in the UK simply because I am the UK, all right? So let's look at this. I'll expand it a bit. Okay, I'll expand this a bit. Okay, you predominantly work with Salesforce, Tableau, SQL, SQL. This has Python. I'll move to another role. Okay, I'll move to this here. you need, your responsibilities include calculating ROI, optimizing current trends, and so on. Provide MI dashboard through self-service BI platforms, Power BI, descriptive diagnostic, analytics. Let's check another role. Okay, so just do your search, really, all right? And like I mentioned, for the different roles and the different roles, for this, for example, nothing was clearly indicated with regards to the type of tools you would use. You need to know how to use databases, which is SQL, right? Maintain functionality with data integrity, which is all about databases, and so on and so forth. Okay, move to other roles and just do your check. Do your check and see the different tools that you need to understand to get a job as a data analyst. Okay, those 5 tools, those 5 skills, like I mentioned, for everybody that have gotten jobs, and you can't learn, if you wait to learn everything, or you have all the skills required to get a job, that job is not for you. If you meet 60 to 70% of a job before you apply, that's the job that will stretch you, where you'd actually get the value that you'd likely get, a lot of value from, right? So just check, go on LinkedIn, go on Indeed, do your search yourself. You have the skills here, data analytics, SQL, click on that and see and check for the different roles that you have and the skills that are required to get into data analytics. You get started, you get a job, extract value, get in return on the investment you've made, and then you keep on upskilling and moving on to the next jobs available for you. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Time is fast spent. We'll call it a day at this point in time. This session was actually dedicated for those in Canada. Okay, but I know some of you in Nigeria, some in the UK are also with us here. I'm in the UK and it's about 2 a.m. my time. So thank you very much for joining, guys. Again, research is very important. Take out time, do your research, and that would help you a lot, a whole lot. This job is remote, for example. Okay, it's a remote role, Tableau-based, data analyst, Tableau, remote. You work about 1 to 2 days per month in the office, all right? So here, for example, you have Tableau. This gives you every single thing you need to get this job. Your understanding of what? Tableau. Understanding of Tableau, all right? So do your research, guys. And for those who are paid to join the program, I'll see you on the 1st of July. Take advantage, register, and be a part of the cohort starting on the 1st of July. Have an amazing time, guys. And I'll see you some other time. All right. Cheers, guys, and have an amazing evening for those of you in Canada, and for those of you in Nigeria and other regions. Good morning and have a wonderful day ahead of you. Cheers, guys.